Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to our special meeting, August 7th, 2025. Our meeting will open with our invocation and pledge. The invocation will be led by School Board Member Mark Ballou, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by School Board Member Patrick Martin. Would y'all please stand?
Father, thank you for blessing us with this beautiful day and for the hardworking employees we have at the start of this new school year. Please help us keep our staff and our students safe during the school year. For the meeting tonight, please help us keep an open mindset and to guide our actions to work together as a team to be laser focused on student achievement. We ask all this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. And Madam Secretary, can I have a roll call, please?
District 4, President Stewart.
Present.
District 7, Vice President Gode.
Here.
District 1, Mr. Blue.
Here.
District 2, Mr. Lannis. District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis. District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Present.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Present.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Present.
District 9, Mr. Martin.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving along to item B, items for consideration. Number 1 is to suspend policy consideration of a request to suspend the rules to consider the approval of a contract with the Kids Orchestra. Do I have any public comments? Any public comments? No cards taken? No cards?
I haven't looked online.
I'm sorry.
No, none online.
Okay, no online comments. Any board comments?
I move we approve the item.
Okay, second. Okay,
Who's second?
Patrick and then Coach. And Madam Secretary, can you go ahead and just call for that vote?
That's what I wanted to tell you, that I'm logging
Oh, you
in.
log, okay, I'm sorry, okay.
And point of order, I think, Mr. Shamlin, am I correct? The order is, my motion would actually be appropriate to move to suspend the policy, correct?
That's correct.
So I move to suspend the policy to consider the approval of a contract with Kids Orchestra.
And this requires a 2/3 vote to approve.
Thank you.
And Coach seconded.
I'm still signing in also.
Oh, yeah, some board members are still signing.
I'm in. I'm having trouble. Can we do this a vote?
You can do a roll call.
Okay. District 1, Mr. Blue.
Yes.
District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis.
Yes.
District 4, President Stewart.
Yes.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Yay.
District 7, Vice President Gode.
Yes.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Yes.
District 9, Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving along to item 2, professional service contract, Kids Orchestra. Consideration of a request for the approval of a professional service contract between the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board and Kids Orchestra in the amount of $445,000 to provide services for the Kids Orchestra after-school program for 2025-2026 funding, General Fund Title IV. Mr. Joffrion, Mr. Smith. Are there any public comments? Okay, no online comments. Do I have a motion? Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Blue and second by Ms. Lewis. Any board comments? No board comments? Madam Secretary, can we call for the vote?
Is everybody in?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or do we need to do a roll call?
Oh, no, we do a roll call.
I got a circle.
District 1, Mr. Blue.
Yes.
District 2, District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis.
Yes.
District 4, President Stewart.
Yes.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Yay.
District 7, Vice President Gode.
Yes.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Yes.
District 9, Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving along to item 3, suspend policy, consideration of a request to suspend the rules to consider the approval of a contract with BRYC. Any public comments? Any online? No online comments? No board comments?
I move to suspend the rules to consider the approval of a contract with the BRYC.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay. Have a motion by Mr. Martin and second by Ms. Paul Lewis. No online comments on that? Okay, no. Madam Secretary, can you call for a vote? And can you do a roll call?
Yeah, and can I confirm on the
Baloo and
second-
Powell Lewis.
No, on the second for Kids Orchestra, was it Powell Lewis or Lewis?
Powell Lewis.
No, for the kids' orchestra was Lewis.
Oh, it sounded like she said Miss.
Wait, which,
Okay.
wait.
That was Lewis.
Oh, okay.
All right, District 1, Mr. Blue.
Yes.
District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis.
Yes.
District 4, President Stewart.
Yes.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
District 6, Mr. Russ.
Yay.
District 7, Vice President Gode.
Yes.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Yes.
District 9, Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving along to item 4, professional service contract, BRYC. Consideration of a request for the approval of a professional services contract between the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board and BRYC in the amount of $681,093 to provide ACT preparation and advising services across 10 high schools. Funding source supplemental course allocation, SCA, Ms. Edwards. Do I have any public comments? No public comments, no online comments? And I don't have any board comments. Do I have a motion? Ms. Sule? And I have Ms. Sule with the motion, and I have Mr. Russ with the second. No other comments, Mike? Madam Secretary, can you call for a vote? Are y'all back on? Everybody on? Oh, okay.
I can't tell if I'm on or not. It's just spinning.
Can you do a roll call?
I might be on because I'm getting results, but
Just go ahead, call for it.
Please vote.
I came up to vote.
You did? So that means you in? You came up? Okay, y'all came up? Okay. Y'all up? Okay. Look like it went through, April.
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And that concludes our special meeting.
We'll take a short break and then we'll reconvene the committee of the whole in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Can we get recess?
Yeah, we did it.
The Committee of the Whole meeting for the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board System for August 7th, 2025 will now be called into order. Since we've already done the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll go straight to the roll call. Madam Secretary.
District 4, President Stewart.
Present.
District 7, Vice President Gode.
Here.
District 1, Mr. Blue.
Here.
District 2, Mr. Lannis. District 3, Ms. Powell Lewis.
Present.
District 5, Mr. Lewis.
Present.
District 7, Mr. Russ.
District 6
I
present.
mean, that, sorry. I don't even know what I said.
That's what she put on my Christmas gift, too. District 7.
District 8, Ms. Sule.
Present.
District 9, Mr. Martin.
I'm here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to item B1 for information only, the fiscal transparency report. Any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to item C1, presentations, the accountability presentation. Superintendent Cole.
Good afternoon, President Stewart, Vice President Gode, board members, everyone here, and those of you at home. Welcome back for another school year. We had an amazing first day of school. Myself, members of our leadership team, members of the school board were with us. We visited 22 schools today, had a great time with families, with teachers, and more importantly, with staff and students. Outstanding day. So what we like to do, and as I shared with you at the last board meeting, we really need to begin having conversation around our accountability system. The first thing we want to do tonight is go through the results from last school year. And I want to be clear, the third grade Dibbles testing data is still embargoed and hadn't been released yet, so we don't want to discuss that data until it's been released. However, we do want to have a very thorough discussion about spring 25 results, and then we want to discuss the new accountability system, Grow, Achieve, and Thrive. And I want to be clear, we want to take our time and share this information with you and give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you like. So we can do this in a number of parts. We plan to go over a few slides tonight, and then another few at the regular board meeting, and if necessary, another few. I think the more time we take to truly understand what we are facing in terms of the new accountability system, the better you have an understanding of what we ask for as it relates to making sure we support our students. I was sent a text message today of an article where the superintendent in Houston eliminated F schools in 2 years. There were 45% of the district were F schools, and they were eliminated in 2 years. So I bring that up to say it's possible. We can do it. We have to make bold investments in the areas where we know we need the most. And we've done that in year one of my tenure. We made those investments. But the reality of the situation, those who are behind require more. And the accountability system is only going to change and be more challenging for our students. So we have to think about that. And I want to make sure before I come to you with an ask to provide more support for our students, to take some of the funds that we redirected as a result of realignment and put it in the classroom with students, that you have a clear understanding of what we're up against. So with that being said, we'll go to the slides, and we're going to do this in tandem. Myself, Ms. Okonski, Adam Smith, and Ms. Edwards are going to talk about the various pieces of the accountability system that the four of us have found ourselves feeling very comfortable with over the last 25 to 30 years. And then if you have any questions, we can talk about it. If you see slide 1, it talks about the headlines. And I bring you that slide to show you that the headlines for the state were very similar to the headlines for our district in terms of where we perform. Grades 3 through 8 at the state demonstrate a 5+5 gain. We did the same in the district since 2019. All subjects 3 through 8 increased by 1%. We stayed the same. Math, all grades increased mastery by 2%. We increased by 3%. Science, all grades maintained the current rate. We maintained the current rate in science. 74% of the schools 3 to 12 had a mastery rate. 56% of our students were mastery in our district. But here's the reality of the situation. As much as I respect, appreciate, and have a very positive relationship with our state superintendent, I like for our results to be better in our district. And that's just friendly competition, and I believe we can do that. So I want to show you what the headlines say, because we celebrate the good, but we cannot be satisfied when we know we still have students who are struggling. We still have subgroup data that suggests some of our students with disabilities are struggling, and we still have students in minority groups who are struggling as well, our ESL population and our economically disadvantaged population are struggling as well. And so we have to think about what the data tells us and then allow the data to drive our decisions. Ms. Okonski.
Thank you, sir. And happy first day of school to all of you. As we entered schools today and saw our children back in schools, we're happy to share with you the results of their work from the previous year. Before we get into the specifics of the actual data, we felt like it was important to level set and remind ourselves of the weight that LEAP carries in school and district performance scores. And so this slide is intentionally color-coded. If you notice at the elementary level, the assessment index, which is based purely on your LEAP results, accounts for 70%. You've got 65 at the middle school level, and then the growth piece is 25%. LEAP accounts and contributes to both of these indices. So for a K-8 school, it's very significant and to look at how they perform on LEAP, because that's an indicator of their overall score. At the high school level, it's about 25%. So the state uses fancy terms. And what is an assessment index? What is a growth or progress index? Our progress scores, you guys have heard about progress letter grades through the years. And how is it calculated? Each LEAP test, as you know, many of you know as parents and grandparents, the student receives an achievement level for it. That achievement level gets a point value assignment. If you are advanced or mastery, you are earning 150 or 100 points for your school. That's the equivalent of an A. If you're basic, you're earning 80 points. It's the equivalent of a B. So the more kids that we have basic and above under the current system, the more likely we're to see some letter grades in the areas of A's and B's.
I want to pause for
Sure.
a second because I want to be clear. When you see the state results, it simply mentions mastery. It does not mention the basic scores. However, if every single student in our school system earned a basic on the assessment data, we'd have a B in assessment data across the board with a high probability that this would be a B district. So while we are moving to mastery, I want to make certain that for the purposes of what's been reported to the community, it eliminates the basic information. However, this current school year, we still earn points for basic, which is important because as we go into the next school year, we will not. I just wanted to make that clear. 25, 26, we will not earn points for basic. 24, 25, so the most recent scores you see, we did earn points for basic. However, when the news reports it, it only talks about mastery numbers.
And we don't live at mastery.
And we don't live at mastery.
And we're going to look deeper into that. Thank you, Mr. Cole. So to his point, this will be the last year. When we come back in November, we'll look at points earned. Basic will be factored in. After this November, the students who take a test this spring, basic will not be factored in. It'll turn to that reddish group with the 0 like the other. The other side of the coin is there's another index for progress, growth. And so maybe I didn't make basic, maybe I didn't make approaching basic, maybe I was unsatisfactory. But if I met my growth target, because every student gets an individualized report with a growth target, if I met my growth target, or if I outranked my statewide peers in my growth or progress, I can earn what's called progress points. And you guys have seen that through the years because many of our schools, over 90% of our schools earn a C or higher in progress, 70% earned an A or B. So we have demonstrated growth over time under this current formula, but that too is changing in the calculations. So we're going to touch on that a little bit tonight, and then as Mr. Cole alluded to, we'll go deeper into that in the next couple of weeks. So before we look at the actual results, let's look at our participation rates because it's important to know who participated in these assessments. It's also important to know how many assessments are going to go into this calculator come the spring. I want to put a footnote here that social studies will not be included in today's data because 3 through 8 has not been released by the state yet. Bessie will look at cut scores and do some policy approvals over the next 30 days. Once that is taken care of, the state will release social studies to us, and then we'll come back to you. The social studies teacher in the house is mouthing civics. She is correct. The state is transitioning away from U.S. history, moving towards civics, so there are new cut scores and new policies that go into play with that. But if we look at our participation rates for math, ELA, and science, we really want to pause here and commend our school-level staff and everyone who supports testing. If you look at those numbers, they're outstanding. 3 through 8 is outstanding, 99% and above. Attendance rates, participation rates during the LEAP window. We know we struggle with attendance here. We're going to talk about that tonight in this presentation. But this is amazing work, and we want to pause and thank everyone who supported our students through this testing season. Because of your hard work, we have the data to show for it.
I just want to pause again. I'm sorry to keep doing this, but during the LEAP testing window, grades 3 through 8, 99% of our students show up for school every day for testing. So what does that tell us? Our children will come to school. Our families will send them to school. We have to do a better job of making school important enough for them to attend, even when it's not testing. And so we want to talk about some of the changes we need to make at our school buildings in order to make school fun, exciting, and important enough for parents to send them every day and not just for testing. Because as you all know, the testing windows could vary from school to school. So what does that outreach look like? Are we calling families? Are we going to houses and visit families during the school year or during the testing cycle? It could be a phone call. It could be a text message. It could be an email. I firmly believe it's the more we conduct outreach with our families during testing, they see it as important. Perhaps we need to conduct outreach every single day of the school year so our families see school as important, because we have truancy rates that are determined by excuses. So what are we saying? What is the expectation we're saying to our families every other day of the year? You can write an excuse and be excused from school. It's not important enough. So if you write 5 excuses in a semester, you can be excused for 5 days. However, during testing, if you miss, some of the challenges that a student may face or have to prove why he missed may be a bit too much for parents to have to prove, and so they send them to school. We have to make school important so our children show up every day, because if our kids show up every day the way they do for testing, I think we're going to see better results. It's not that teachers aren't doing their part at times. It's simply we haven't done our best to make sure they show up every day. We have to own it, and we're going to be asking the board to support us in trying some new things to help parents do consistent outreach during the course of the year to get kids to school. And I apologize, Andre.
No worries. Thank you, sir. So as we look here, we're looking at 1 year totals here and percentages for the 5 different achievement levels of LEAP. We've talked about advanced and mastery. We know moving forward, that's where the points are going to lie. Basic is in yellow because this is going to be the last year. Unsatisfactory approaching. We notice that when you get to the advanced and mastery, our students are closer to the state averages, but that as we move up, the gap widens. It would be important to note here that as the state goes, the 3 largest districts in the state go. EBR accounts for about 6% of the total population of children in the state of Louisiana. If you combine EBR, Caddo, and Jefferson, it accounts for about 18% of students in statewide totals. So that, as Mr. Cole alluded to on that first slide, that's one of the reasons why we see those parallels between our scores and the state often, because of the large number of students represented in this pool. So the next question might be, this is the 1 year total, what does it look like over time? In their press release, the state put up a slide that I've got angled in the corner there showing what's happened over the last 5 years, that 5 points since COVID. Again, the district mirrored it. If you notice that in 2021, we were at 24% in grades 3 through 8 all subjects, and now we land at 29. They moved in a parallel level over the last 5 years. But we know it's important to dig deeper, not just look at all tests, but to look at content areas. So that's the next place that we go. We look at the 1 year and the 5 year of the content areas, and we just gave you snapshots here. As Mr. Cole alluded to in the opening slide, basically, when you look at all subjects, all tests, we maintained. If you look at ELA, we had a slight decline, why 1% for overall tests. Math had huge gains again. Math has incrementally grown every year since COVID. We had +3 while the state had +2, and then we basically maintained in science, although we did see some growth at the high school level. But in order to truly move the district, as Mr. Cole said, and to eliminate the D and F schools, or the Fs first and then move towards the Ds, we can't just focus on proficiency. We have to look at the total number of students. So what we've prepared for you here is each of the columns represents an achievement level. Each color represents a different grade level. So that's going to tell you the number of students in each of those grade levels earning that level. So if we sum total this data, we're projecting or calculating that if we were under the umbrella of the new formula today, over 14,000 assessments would not have earned points. So if you look at that basic column, that approaching basic column, and that unsatisfactory column in ELA, those are the number of students who we have to grow. Now, it doesn't mean that they wouldn't have earned points or can't earn points on the growth side. We're going to be looking at that. Even those unsatisfactory students had a growth target this year. If they met their growth target, they will receive points on the growth side. Growth is not going away. It's just the way it's calculated will be different, and one of the next times we come to you, we'll show you those differences. This is a comparable slide for math, and it shows you that the numbers increase for math. Math has historically lagged behind ELA. The gap widened with COVID. You notice that our advanced students are less, our mastery students are less. The number of basic and below increases with math. On the science side, we project about 15,000 assessments would not earn points under the new formula based on the data. And those students are represented in the basic, approaching, and unsatisfactory columns. Again, you notice that advanced group is small for science. So what about subgroups? Mr. Cole mentioned subgroups earlier. These are the major subgroups represented in this district. We know that the two largest are African American and economically disadvantaged. Our economically disadvantaged, at the most current data certification, represented about 80%, 79.6. African American represented 68% of our population. You can see here that African American and Asian students outperform their statewide peers. One of the pieces that I mentioned to you under the growth questions that we ask if a student grew, did they outpace their statewide peers? So we know that this is an area where our students will show some growth. English learner at the state showed 1 year growth. It remained the same. But we know that English learner and Hispanic are the two largest growing in this district. English learner in February was at 10%. Hispanic was at 15%. Mr. Cole talked about students with disabilities and challenges of certain subgroups, but students with disabilities grew a year, and actually they, as well as the Hispanic group, were the two subgroups that showed gains, both at the district level and the state level. But you notice if these numbers compared to the other numbers that I showed you, there are still challenges and gaps in mastery or that proficiency level. Sure. You good? Stop me, Coach. So the state released this slide earlier in the year, or in July, as part of their deck, where they showed that 74% of their districts showed growth. And that we were in that purple box with the 24% that remained the same. What we did was we mirrored the slide for the schools in the school system. 56% of district schools improved or maintained their mastery rates. 33 improved, 12 maintained, 36 declined, and we'll show you some highlights a little bit later of who those folks were. One of the things that we asked our resident statistician to do was to dig deeper in the data according to attendance. We had a control group and experimental group. We looked at students who missed 10 or more days and students who missed 9 days or less. And so Mr. Smith's going to come up to share our findings there and talk about some of our attendance initiatives and challenges.
I think many of you already know the findings is obvious. Students who miss fewer days, they perform better. Although we focus a lot on truancy, in the legal definition of a truant student is a student who've missed five or more days, or who have five unexcused absent or five unexcused tardies. But the reality is that chronic absences is killing us. We have not recovered pre-COVID. We still have some of our elementary and middle school students and high schools with a daily average attendance rates in the 80s. Pre-COVID, that would be alternative attendance rates. What we need to make sure that our schools are focusing on why students don't come to school. As leaders, we have to remove any barriers. And barriers may be, transportation may be a barrier why students miss. We have to remove any aversions why students don't come to schools, and even misconceptions. Superintendent mentioned that some parents believe just because they send an absent that it's okay. But the reality is that anytime a student is not in a seat, there's learning loss. And I strongly believe that's one of the reasons that we have not recovered faster is because we have chronic absences. So anytime you have a school that's hovering between 80%, low 90%, you have a large portion of students who are missing school daily. And it's a challenge for our teachers because when those students do come back, they have to go back and do what, Ms. Powell-Lewis? Reteach. And it's a challenge. So in the grand scheme of things, this is one of the things that we're going to closely monitor this year. With our building level principals, we've set a schedule for some of our high priority schools because we know who those schools are that have serious attendance concerns. And one of the things that the superintendent mentioned is that we're going to realign resources to support those schools with getting students to schools. And this is simply what it means. It doesn't matter what we do on the professional development side, Coach, how well Ms. Edwards do with her team. When kids are not in school, simply they're not learning. And that's the grand scheme of things.
Mr. Smith. Question, Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir.
This issue with truancy just didn't crop up.
No. And now remember, truancy is just simply
absenteeism. Just didn't crop up. What have we done in the past? Because this is it's a chronic issue. It just didn't start happening.
One of the things.
What have we done over the years to try to combat this issue?
Well, I think it's an issue that nationally is an issue post-COVID. But what I do think that we have to do, and one of the conversations I've had with Ms. Edwards and Ms. Williams, is that we cannot allow schools to write plans in absentee and isolation without attendance plan. You have to have interventions. Pre-COVID, when I was an executive director, one of the things that I simply said, we're going to monitor ABCs. You guys remember that song from the Jackson 5, ABCs, 1, 2, 3? Simple. You have to monitor the attendance. You have to monitor your behavior data. That's your discipline. And then the cognitive data are your formative assessments and your LEAP assessments and things of that nature. Principals have to monitor that quarterly and daily. When kids are absent, you have to do outreach, as Mr. Cole said, but at the end of the day, you have to actually get into the community and find out why those kids are not coming to school. We have to change, and I think there's an item on the board, this bond, I don't want to mention the item, but we have to look at, and we had these conversations in our small group meetings about we have to change what the high school experience looks like. You know, kids, and I'm a secondary person, kids make choices, and there's a reason why they choose not to come to school. And we have to deal with that, and the reality of it is that we have to get out into the community, we have to talk with kids. We've done a great job over the past year with listening to kids, but actually we have to dig a little bit deeper, and it's everybody's responsibility. It's not just child welfare and attendance. I have to know, if I'm a building level principal, who is present daily. If you don't know your kids are not there, you can't address the problem. And so that's one of the things that we will be working with principals this year. We'll be ensuring that they have plans for those schools that have high attendance or chronic absences in their schools. And so those are one of the things that we've done in the past. We've monitored real closely. I think some of the things that we've gotten away from that we have to go back to the basics, Coach Lewis.
Like the Jackson 5, ABC?
ABC.
So is that principal going to get a printout daily of his kids that are not there?
No,
Well,
not going
you
to get a printout.
Well, we just
I'm
said.
going to tell you why.
Okay.
The principal can go to J Campus, which is the information system, and it's right there in front of his or her face. We don't have to give a principal anything. A principal must own his or her own data. It's not the expectation that I show up on campus with a list of your kids.
I'm not talking about the list coming from us. He has an attendance clerk.
He has an attendance
And
clerk.
that's her job to make sure that he gets that attendance, whether he goes to J Campus or not.
I'm going to correct you,
His
Coach.
or her.
It's everybody's job.
Right.
It's everybody's job.
But he's making the
It's
big
just-
bucks.
He's making the big bucks, and water runs downhill, but at the end of the day, it just can't be an attendance clerk responsibility. In those PLCs, in those data team meetings, attendance have to be a part of the conversation. So often that we talk about the cognitive piece, we talked about the cognitive form assessments, how kids are performing on standards, but we have to talk about attendance. That's number one, because it doesn't matter what we do far as with supporting teachers, and that's been the superintendent code to support, but the reality is if kids are not there,
They can't learn.
they can't learn.
Coach, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Sule.
Oh, it's okay. You can
Wait, go ahead, but Ms. Powell Lewis is next.
Oh, okay.
I want to go back to a point you were making, Coach, and what Adam just mentioned. Sometimes we move at the rate of the technology. But one of the things we used to do as a school district, we had do not admit lists with all of the students who were absent that school day on the desk of every teacher as well as in the front office staff. So you could see who was absent from school by second hour, and you could also see on that list who was not supposed to be on campus as a result of them having been suspended or on a parent conference suspension, which means they couldn't return until they had a parent conference. And then everybody on the campus had a hard copy of the information, and they knew who weren't at school, and sometimes it was just a conversation. Then when COVID came in, we went virtual, that data didn't exist. And when we came back from COVID, we no longer used the data because we upgraded the systems so that it would be all on technology. And so we may have to go back to ensuring what you just said. There are folks on the campuses with a hard copy of the data who are conducting those phone calls or in many cases, home visits when it's safe enough to make sure we're trying to find out what is happening at those houses. So I get your point that we may need to have hard copies of the data to show who's absent from school so that we can start making phone calls to determine. And we're going to work with principals to do that. And we received a grant from the state, and so we're working to establish the enrollment office so we could be looking at all of our absent students district-wide to determine our processes and steps going forward. I know everyone wants to use the technology and saying printing things out is obsolete, but sometimes that hard copy that we look at, that we can see clearly, and then we can begin to make those, we can develop an outreach plan for those students, and that's what we're planning to do.
Because if it ain't on paper, it didn't happen.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Board Member Powell Lewis.
Thank you. I don't know if my question is going to be kind of rhetorical or not, but I know that we are a policy-making body, but my question is, what can we do as a board to support the work of the district in regards to absences and chronic absenteeism? Just as you mentioned, Mr. Smith, about learning loss and interventions, and something else that I noticed was just in conversations today, how can we expect students who do come to us in survival mode because they have other things and other situations going on at home, how can we expect them to come ready to learn? Also, I have my friend here, Mother Pearl Porter. She's a champion for parental engagement. I know that if she were up here, she would say, we got to talk to our parents. So how do we do that? And then also just thinking about just what you guys mentioned about the accountability piece for teachers with keeping track of attendance, and how if there's not an attendance track that's being kept, then that leads to questions about classroom management, because teachers should have a seating arrangement that should assist. And that would also, if we had the printout, then that means that teachers would be able to easily catch any missed assignments as well. So my question is, what can we do as a board, as your community leaders, and as your policymakers to be able to support this work to improve these numbers?
And one of the things that I think I heard Superintendent Cole mention earlier, we may come back to the board for an ask. Right now, I think it's starting now, the conversation, because I think in all of my years sitting through these accountability presentations, this is the first time we've talked about attendance. And I think you guys can appreciate that for those who've been on the board. And so it's rising to the surface because we're digging a little bit deeper. And so, Ms. Powell-Lewis, we have to start the conversation, and definitely if there is a need for us to come back, whether it's a policy or whether it's reallocating funds or even bringing in a partner to come in to assist, those things will be brought before the board.
My question was, so, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing is it's on the principal and the school to be checking chronic absenteeism. Is there a metric for holding principals accountable to checking chronic absenteeism?
It is, and that'll be a part of what we're calling our critical conversation meetings, because we'll also be monitoring each individual school, especially those high priority schools. That's about 20 schools that's on our watch list, and we'll be meeting with those principals, those building level principals quarterly.
And they'll have a metric
Yes.
to be measuring if they're...
There'll be a metric baseline where we were at last year versus where you are this year. We can look at it monthly. It's a simple report, and it's called a consecutive absent report that's run out of J Campus. Consecutive absent report that you can just run out of J Campus, our student information system. And it'll tell you how many days a kid has been absent.
But my question is there any kind of a metric to hold the principal accountable for if they're reaching out to those kids? That's more what my question is. So like when a principal gets this chronic absenteeism list, and then we start this process of like, hey, these kids need to be reached out to, do we have any kind of a metric to know that the principal is
Reaching
doing
out.
that?
Do we know if if the principal are reaching out? The metric for us would be when we go in, if we see the attendance is better, then we know that the school has done something, because each school should have a school-based attendance committee at each school site. And so when we go in for those quarterly visits, we should see improvement, and we should see actually what the plan is as far as with how they're reaching out, and that's how we'll hold schools or principals
Is this
accountable.
officially in the principal job description?
Oh, yes, attendance,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
And chronic absenteeism?
Overall student performance is a part of the student principal's responsibility.
Okay.
I put myself next on the list. You know, I think back to when we recognized that we had a severe, we still do, but we're improving on the literacy program, on the literacy thing. What we did is we put literacy coaches in the schools, okay? I understand the principal is responsible for this. I understand he's the captain, he or she is the captain of the ship, and everything that happens on the ship is their responsibility. But they also only have so many hours in the day. What resources are we giving to the principal? Because once it gets to child welfare and attendance, we already really have a problem, and the issue is to stop it from becoming a problem. So particularly in the chronic schools, are we giving any additional resources to the principals that they can use to specifically address these issues? Because they don't have time to go be running around and doing everything.
The answer to you is yes, Mr. Gaudet. I think few.
That wasn't a planet question, I promise.
Yes, it was. We're looking correctly. We know that our biggest concern, top priority, is the high school. And just recently, a few board meetings ago, you guys approved a registrar, which would take a load off the attendance clerk. So that's one of the reasons why we came before you for that job description.
But you know, so if a child gets a couple of absences in the first month, does that register then take it on themselves to go do that, or are they just recording data?
No, the registrar is actually doing the registration, but it will take the burden off some of your counselors and some of your attendance clerks for doing some of the responsibilities of what the registrars have been doing, which we've been seeing while some of the attendance clerks have not been doing what they've been hired to do. And so that's one of the reasons why we added that position to the high schools.
Okay, because I don't, you know, I feel like in some aspects we're piling on to the principals because they got, particularly the high school level, they got so many things on their plate. I want to make sure that if they do have this responsibility, but we need to give them the resources to address this responsibility, because if not, we're setting them up for failure.
And yes, sir, and that's why we may be coming back for you for an hour.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Martin.
Thank you. You know, one of the things I've found since I joined the board is academic performance data lags so far behind the things that we do to try to affect it. Absenteeism is different. We can monitor that really in real time. So I wonder if it would be, because I've met with members of the state BESI board several times over the past year, and there's not a single meeting I've had where one of them didn't ask me about our absentee problems that we're having in this district, which exceed that in most of the rest of the state. So I wonder if it would be possible for us at every meeting to receive a report, electronic or printed out, that shows all of our schools and tracks over the course of this year how their absenteeism, pick the right single metric. I don't want to be bombarded with numbers if it's the attendance rate, right? And just say, okay, well, the attendance rate at this school, the first week was this, the second week was this, the third week was that. Here's what it is for the past month, and let us see which schools are improving and which schools are not. I would find that very, very helpful, I think. And I think that would send a clear message from this board how closely we're paying attention to this issue, and send that signal that this needs to change. And certainly, to Mr. Gaudet's point, if the principals need more resources, come tell us, right? But I for one really want to track this very closely so that people know that this is it's one of my highest priorities, certainly.
Yeah, and that's an easy pull. And as you mentioned in some of the previous slides, we need to create the same energy around testing, because you know, as I said, some schools are hovering around 80%, low 90%, but you see kids coming to school to take tests. So we're doing something to get them to school. Yeah.
Let's just do that when they're supposed to be learning, not just when they're supposed to be taking the test. Yeah. So if we, Superintendent, I would appreciate it if we could get that report every meeting for the rest of this academic year.
Not a problem.
Board Member Lewis.
You know, the foundation of any great organization is the bottom. You know, I've talked about subgroups, I've talked about all that stuff for almost 3 years. Mr. Cole, Carl, and myself, and I hate to say myself, put myself in the third person, but, we've spent time in schools. Not a lot of my colleagues up here have. Way back when, there used to be something called parent liaisons. Mr. Gaudet, who did the exact same thing that you're talking about. Patrick, who did the exact same thing that you're talking about. But those people went away. And I'm willing to bet you, if you go back and you look, when those people went away, after DSEG, they started to go away. I think you'll find it parallel with absenteeism. As parent liaisons, we did home visits, we did parent conferences, we did we did it, we basically did the job. We basically did the job. That wasn't the Jackson 5, was it?
Yeah,
So that,
yeah. ABCs.
ABC.
Yeah.
So you know, so basically there has been a mechanism in place before. So I think maybe if we can go back, now I don't know how it works with positions and all that, but I'll look at a problem. I don't look for the complexities in the problem. I look for the simplest, most effective way to solve the problem. And the way to do that, if parent engagement is a problem, put people in place to engage with parents. I mean, I think it's an oversimplification, but it works. I know for a fact it worked.
That's why
And
we
Cap-
call it, that's
okay.
why we call it the ABCs, Coach.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. I got you. Thank you. I'm done. No, I'm not going to interrupt you anymore.
Yes, he is.
Ms. Powell Lewis, but could I ask you to be brief because, thank you.
Look, my statement is brief. I just wanted to share that there are creative ways, and I hope that there are some principals that are listening. There are some creative ways to be able to monitor attendance and then also to engage in friendly competition by teaching the students coming to school and earning quick incentives. I mean, it's small things. I've worked at a school where every 9 weeks, the principal gave out blow pops to all the kids who had perfect attendance for the grading period, and they were high school students, and they came to school for the blow pop. So I'm just saying that I hope that we become more creative with monitoring and tracking attendance at school sites and even beyond. Thank you.
So if we carry on with the presentation, we just have a few more slides that we want to visit from our spring 2025 data. And I think Board Member Martin said it perfect, that our LEAP data lags. So this is how our students performed in the spring. So we're going to talk about that, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our response to that data, because we're charged with how are we going to move forward. So we're going to highlight this. These are our top achieving sites based on Mastery Plus. For the purpose of this data, we're looking at students that score Mastery and Advanced. I also wanted to just note that this data doesn't indicate SPS, because I think sometimes it could get confusing because those SPS scores aren't released until November, and those include other measures beyond just Mastery Plus. But we know that our goal is Mastery. So these are the top achieving schools based on Mastery Plus, but I want us to look at this next slide a little bit deeper, because these are our top growing sites. So as we think through our current accountability measures and where we're going with accountability measure, the bottom line is growth matters. So I think it's worth us noting that in the old formula, there was a progress index. In the new formula, and Ms. Okonski is going to take us deeper into it, there's a growth section. So we will be rewarded for those students that meet their growth.
Excuse me, Mr. McCann, we can hear you way up here, sir. Okay, all right. All right.
From our culture book, sidebars are good.
Yeah, go ahead.
But not that long. So in terms of looking at our top growing sites from the spring 2025 administration, it's worth us noting that the schools that are shaded in orange, these are schools that are labeled CRR label. Some of our CRR labeled schools were within our top growing sites. I think that's valuable because we talked about use of human capacity and things that we put into those schools during the school year. So we're seeing growth based on what happened. And I think it's also notable that 2 of the sites that were our AUS sites are among our top growing sites, and those were Claiborne and Winborn.
That's great.
Thank you. One other note is when Ms. Okonski shared this data, I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. And if we look at our schools with intervention labels, 50% of them grew last year. 11 elementary, 3 middle, and 6 of the high schools grew. So we know that we're going in the right trajectory. We know that mastery is our goal. It is always our goal. But it's important for us to keep our fingers on the pulse of student growth because, like I said, in the new accountability model, it matters. And we're going to be rewarded for those students achieving their growth targets. Last thing with this, and I'll be brief because I see Superintendent's eyes. Data is only a piece of information unless we collect it, analyze it, develop a plan, act on that plan, and reflect on the implementation of the plan. So that's what we intend to do in this upcoming year. Through the categories of our strategic plan under student achievement, operational excellence, and employee development, that's exactly what we plan to do. We will utilize a common formative assessment cycle. We implemented it last spring. We'll implement it beginning in September. After all students have received their baseline data, we will begin our CFA cycle, where we're looking at CFAs at the school level. Mr. Smith mentioned our quarterly data reviews at our district level, and spoiler alert, we plan to bring data updates to the board on a monthly basis so that you can see how we're monitoring from the district level, because what we expect, we have to inspect. So we want to allow you to be able to see our progress throughout the year. Other things that we're going to do this year and that we've already began is we've developed a instructional expectation for all schools, and we've shared that with principals, and we've shared that with our teachers so that we understand, and it's aligned to the Louisiana Educator Rubric. We've adopted high-quality HQIM in math from kindergarten through geometry. We've had an update to our ELA HQIM in grades 3 through 5. And under operational excellence, we talked about those systems and structures for data monitoring. We will have those data reviews that Deputy Superintendent Smith spoke on a quarterly basis. But there's also an expectation that the instructional leadership teams at school level are doing that on a weekly basis. So it starts at the school level, and you'll see it mirrored at the district level. In terms of employee development, I just wanted to share, we have a really intentional vision around employee development in terms of professional development. We've adopted this HQIM. We launched professional development this summer. We had 357 total PD offerings made available to teachers during the summer. Within the last week, we offered 114 sessions on August the 4th, with 105 of them being at BRCC and 9 of them at other EBR sites. But we know that that is just professional development. We know that true professional development happens at the school level. So we've worked with our vendors. You guys approved the contracts where we will have that very intentional vendor-led PD on site throughout the school year. In addition, one thing that we're super excited about is this very intentional cohort support. We will be working with elementary, middle, and high school cohorts where we have developed teams, where our teams will provide support in curriculum, professional development, child welfare and attendance, federal programs. We have these really intentional teams that will connect with our Division of Schools on a weekly basis so that we can identify a need and we can respond to that need on a weekly, bi-weekly basis so that we're not waiting for this annual lag data.
And in addition to a member on that team, you all asked a question about attendance. We do have a member of our child welfare and attendance team on the school cohort team. So those school cohort teams will be housed at the schools. So we are planning to attack and address the attendance issues we're having as well as the truancy issues we're having by having additional central office staff deploy themselves to be housed at schools every day instead of at an office to provide that support on all of those different areas. So when we do come back with our data reports to the board, we can say in real time, this is what has happened, this is how we addressed it, and this is the progress we're seeing as a result.
Lastly, I'll share some data reporting resources that are available to our families, to our teachers, and to our community stakeholders at large. School Finder is here. any person can search any school, demographic information, assessment information, anything you want to know about that school. The LDOE data library is available if you're interested in how we are performing in terms of how other school systems across the state are performing. A plethora of reports that are there. The one in the middle I think is valuable, the LDOE LEAP Parent Guide. It's released with the LEAP scores each administration, and it gives an overview for parents on how their students scored in terms of the state and supports that would be necessary based on how they scored. Two other things, and I'll sit, the accountability website has a plethora of opportunities if you're interested. Ms. Okonski flagged for me when she was standing, Board Member Martin, that there is a Tableau dashboard that will allow you to filter attendance. It's currently live, but there are also opportunities for you to filter other historical data in terms of DIBELS, LEAP, and ELPT, other data that exist for EBR.
So with that, we're going to pause here. I know we have a number of other items on the agenda. We can keep going if you like. You want us to wrap it up? But we do have more information we'd like to share around the accountability system and what's coming and our plans to align ourselves around the accountability system as well as our strategic plan to make sure we're meeting the needs of our students. So we'll stop here and we'll pick up at the next meeting with more information. But I want the board to know this is going to be an ongoing conversation where we bring data back, provide updates, and keep you informed. As well as I know you all know all of the metrics and key indicators from the state are going to be reported to you on a regular basis as well. So you all will be receiving emails from Betsy around some of what is happening at the state. So we'll close with that. Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation.
Thank you for the presentation, and I would ask that, well, two things. One, I know this took a good bit of time, but it is what we're here about, and so I think it was very well spent. I would also ask that this presentation be loaded up into board docs, please, and that would be...
You heard that, Ms. Okonski? We need to put that. Got it.
Thank you. Moving on to item D, items for consideration. Item D1, Grant AG Student Enhancement Block Program. Consideration of request for the approval of the 8G Student Enhancement Block Program in the amount of $414,846 to provide 3 pre-K4 classes at Audubon, Shenandoah, and Twin Oaks Elementary Schools. Are there any comments on this item from the public?
No, and no online.
No online comments? Any board members wish to comment? Have a motion from Board President Stewart. Do I have a second by Board Member Martin? Seeing no further comments, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a vote?
Please vote.
Speaking into existence.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving now to item D2, budget revision, child nutrition. Consideration of the request for the approval of the revised 2024-2025 and proposed 2025-2026 child nutrition program budgets for compliance with Louisiana Revised Statute 39:1310 and Louisiana Revised Statute 39:1311. Do we have any public comments? Any comments from other board members? I will put myself into the queue. I do have a question on this, so I don't know if it's Ms. Lopez. I'll let you come up first. Couldn't let a budget item go without asking a question.
Obvious.
I read through the stuff and I was a little bit confused. I understand the legal reason to do this, but I'm more trying to understand the underlying reason to do this. Is it a revenue recognition issue that we thought we were going to get money last year and we're really going to get it this year? Or we thought we were going to get money last year and we're not going to ever get it?
The second one, sir. We were hoping that we could adjust, the budget would balance itself out, and it did not.
Okay, and how did we get so far into the thing to know we were $4 million out of budget?
We've been tracking it along with the child nutrition program. Since March, we have been marking in the black, which is good. I feel confident that once we do this, that next year, Ms. McKnight will be able to manage to maintain a balance for the next year. I'm sure she'd be happy to come speak.
What was the, I guess I'm trying to understand the nature of it.
Sure.
Was it we overspent?
Yes.
The money we thought we'd get? Or we just overspent?
It was overspending.
Okay. And I guess my concern is how do we get $4 million overspending? Even if you go, we got several months in the black, so it was more than $4 million.
Correct.
How did we get that far without it being caught and corrected?
It was caught. We were aware of it. We were just hoping that we would catch up by the end.
Hope is not a plan.
It is not a plan, but we are working with Child Nutrition on a corrective action plan for this year to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Okay, thank you. And I know this is not your issue. I understand. Thank you.
I'll move approval.
We have a motion by Board Member Martin, a second by Board President Stewart. Seeing no other comments, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D3, Professional Services Contract, August Schools Incorporated. Consideration of request for the approval of professional service contracts between the East Baton Rouge School Board and August Schools Incorporated in the amount up to $74,340 to provide for an electronic behavioral health record platform. Funding source, iCare. There are no online comments. Anyone in the audience care to comment? Any comments from board members? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a vote?
Please vote.
Motion to approve the item.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I second it.
Rust. Thank you. Sorry about that.
I'll try to stop
Once they get the train rolling.
you. I know, right?
Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D4, Professional Services Contract, High Dosage Tutoring. Consideration request to authorize the superintendent to determine the selection of, negotiate, and execute contracts with state-approved vendors to provide high dosage tutoring services in reading and math, not to exceed the $1,560,855 allocation, pending August 20th BESI approval. Funding source, High Dose Tutoring Grant. Are there any comments from the audience? We have no online comments. Any comments from the board? May I have a motion, please? Ms. Soule?
No, Soule, Lewis.
Soule and Board Member Lewis is a second. Seeing no further comments, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote.
Oh, you wanted to comment? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I thought you was seconding it.
I understand.
Okay.
We'll back up. I'm sorry, Board Member Lewis.
Okay,
Please,
I see it now.
please,
Go ahead.
please go ahead.
You got it.
Ms. Edwards. You know, this was a pretty, a well-debated topic last year with the initial funding from High Dose Tutoring. Could you please give me some, or us rather, some of the results from, the gains that we made with High Dose Tutoring in this district last year?
Absolutely. We have a slide that during the initial contract approval last year, we contracted with Studyville, but the superintendent had the approval to negotiate additional contracts. So we were able to bring on 2 additional vendors throughout the school year, not until the spring. The 2 additional vendors in AIR Reading and Intervene came on in early spring. So in terms of student outcomes based on high dosage tutoring, before I share this, I want to flag that high dosage tutoring is 10 weeks of intervention with an approved vendor, whether it's a vendor, a highly effective teacher, or a personnel on campus who can implement that intervention. Based on the data that we have, we talked a few minutes ago about our goal always being proficient, being mastery and above, but we know that many of the students that are in high dosage tutoring are well below the level that they need to be, so there may be several levels that they need to grow in order to become proficient. So of the students that work with Studyville work with the majority of the students because they began around November-ish, and these other 2 vendors we brought on, as I said, in February. We'll start with Studyville. Of the students who qualify for high dosage tutoring that work with Studyville, about 8% of those, I'll start with the 27% of those students moved to proficient in DIBELS by the end of the year. And we know that DIBELS is administered to students in K through 3, and they work with students at various levels. Of students in the LEAP grade levels, which would be our 4th and 5th grade students that work with Studyville, about 8% of those move to proficiency based on the spring administration of LEAP. But I think what's notable are the students who move to at least one achievement level, because we talked about the accountability measures and that students are charged with meeting their growth target, and also that we're going to receive points for those students meeting their growth. About 38% of the students that work with Studyville moved at least one achievement level in DIBELS, but from BOY to EOY. And about 41% of the students working with Studyville moved at least one achievement level in LEAP. I think it's worth noting here, Ms. Okonski foreshadowed about the DIBELS. We did BOY to EOY, because EOY is the last administration of DIBELS, but we do know that some of our 3rd grade students attended summer school. That data is still embargoed per se. So some of our students work with AIR Reading during a summer school sprint because we utilize high dosage tutoring funds. So some of those students that went to summer remediation were remediated with AIR Reading, and they moved to proficient or benchmark, and they went on to the next grade level, but we can't say how many of them today until that data, but that's not reflected in here. I just wanted to make sure that I flag that the vendors, Studyville work with ELA and math, ARR Reading work with ELA only, and Intervene work with math. ARR Reading and Intervene were both virtual options. And I didn't read the categories for ARR and Intervene, but they follow the same cadence that Studyville.
So we're moving in the right direction.
We're moving in the right direction. Are we where we want to be? Absolutely not. But we already have a plan on how to be more intentional around high dosage tutoring and some structures to put in place to ensure that we're progress monitoring very closely how our students are performing, whether they're working with a vendor or they're working with an interventionist on their campus.
And Coach, I do want to make mention, we got started late with high dosage tutoring last year. The contract wasn't approved until, the funding didn't come until September. The contract wasn't approved until October. We didn't get started until November. We'd like to start now. our kids needed the support now, which is why we're bringing this item to you this evening.
And that was one of the issues I had with it last year, that it started so late. You know, I wish it was something that we could do all year.
And to your point, we were able to, once we got started, do it the rest of the fall, in the spring, as well as into summer. We believe if we do it now, we can do it now, spring, as well as go into the summer with those kids who still need it, using those same dollars based on the kids who are eligible.
Because growth is important this year.
This year, and even more important next school year.
I mean,
That's right. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Edwards.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Madam Secretary, I think I messed you up because we opened the voting. Oh, you didn't? Okay. Okay. Seeing any other comments? And my apologies, Coach Lewis.
Nathan, you got a comment?
Oh, Nathan, I'm sorry.
I'll be quick. I think Cliff touched on a thing I was going to ask as they were talking about this data, and thank you for bringing up that we can look at that. I guess the question would be, if I remember the grant correctly last year, it limited it to a 10-week period. Was that correct?
Correct.
And so is the plan this year to try to allocate that money with the same kids but fewer kids to be able to provide the intervention, the tutoring more frequently, like you said, in the spring, in the fall, in the summer? Is it that we're just going to administer it better? I guess help me understand how we can, because as I'm thinking about, look, I've got 2 young kids with different proficiencies. I've seen what reading challenges can look like, and it can be different for every kid, but you can't always get to proficiency in 10 weeks. Sometimes it can be a big hill to climb for a kid that might take a year or 2 years sometimes if you've got some real gaps. And so I'm looking at, well, if we need to be advocating to the state or to our legislature to think about how to provide this money, but also give us a way to do it with efficacy that actually makes a difference. Because we don't want to turn away money in any way that can help our kids, but 10 weeks of tutoring only goes so far.
Thank you for flagging that. And to your point, the law says that it's 10 weeks, but to your point, we intervene with students until we get them at a level that we need them to be. So to answer your question is, we will continue to intervene with students throughout. The vendor support is around the 10-week, but I wanted to flag that the way that we're going to implement it this year is similar to last year, but it's going to be around the capacity of the campus, because we are a large district and all of our schools are not created equal in terms of capacity. So we already began meeting with principals this summer to talk about how we're going to utilize high dosage tutoring, what the capacity looks like on their campus, and what vendor would be able to support them based on their need. So based on their need, high dosage tutoring is like a puzzle. High dosage tutoring is one piece of that puzzle. Their highly qualified teachers are one piece. Any interventionists that they have and other persons on that campus all work together to intervene and provide support for the students. So the money is great, and we appreciate it, but it's just one little piece of what we're going to do to support students.
Thank you, and I understand that it does take a big team to teach kids, especially when you're trying to help them bridge gaps. And I'm just thinking about how we're limited in using this resource to provide kids who really need a huge pull up that mountain to get them if they're in second grade and they're not proficient. We've got a really short window to help them bridge that gap, and 10 weeks of resources is great, but if the state really wants to put their money where their mouth is, then they should give us more.
I'll let you go down and advocate for us to get that. Yes. That's it.
Thank you. Board Member Martin.
Thank you. I agree with what everybody said so far. I think the one thing I want to add, and it's a point that Mr. Rust often makes, is looking at the data we use to evaluate whether our resource allocations are working, right? So we had good data there, and I appreciate you providing that. And I'd like to make sure, particularly when we have programs that stretch back a number of years, often with the same vendors, that whenever possible, we kind of show a time spread of how the performance data has changed over time. Has it gotten better? are there any national benchmarks, like 40% kids going up a whole proficiency level sounds good. If other places are doing this and they're getting 80%, not so good. If other places are getting 20%, yes, awesome, we're doing great. So I'd just like to have, in the future, this is good for now, in the future, that we, whenever possible, when we've had experience with the same vendors or the same programs over multiple years, that we provide some historical context to how progress has been made.
We absolutely will. So we would consider this data as baseline data. And to your point, we've been having conversations with J-Campus, EBR, to ensure that we're going to tag each student by vendor in J-Campus, so we'll be able to have that historical data. Yes.
Are there any other board comments or questions? Now, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we move on to D5, Healthcare and Ancillary Benefit Plans. Consideration of request for the approval, authorization of the following. A, proposed contract renewal with Louisiana Blue for administrative services of the health plan for 2026 through 2028. Is that a typo or is that correct? That's correct, through 2028. B, proposed 2026 healthcare rates for active employees, non-Medicare and Medicare eligible retirees participating in the Louisiana Blue administered medical plans for core, buy-up, and high deductible health plans, options under the Community Blue and Precision Blue networks. Proposed contract renewal with United Healthcare for Medicare retirees for 2026. Proposed contract renewal with MetLife for dental for 2026. E, proposed contract renewal with Celerix for the online benefits enrollment platform with the addition of flexible spending accounts, health savings accounts, and Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act administration. F, authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute the 2026 contract for stop-loss insurance coverage. Is there a presentation?
Good evening. Yes, we do have a presentation. We have our Gallagher team here tonight. And I would like to say this would be the 5th consecutive year recommending no premium increase for our employees. So we're happy to report that. And we also have a team from Blue Cross here tonight, too, if any questions arise.
Thank you, James. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here, Superintendent and Board. We're going to spend a little bit of a time just going through some of our recommendations and the work that we've done with the administration on your 2026 employee benefit renewal. We can go to the next slide. So like James mentioned, my name is Kim Briard. I'm a consultant with Gallagher. Here tonight I have Haley Trahan. She is a service consultant with Gallagher. She leads our service team on a day-to-day basis and works with administration on everything related to your employee benefit plan. We have a pretty large team that supports the district. It takes a lot of people to support a lot of employees, their dependents, and the retirees under your plan. So all of them could not be here tonight, but we're excited to come present to you guys. Just a quick overview of a 3-year history of the plan since we've kind of partnered with the district. I won't go through, year by year, but to James's point, the most notable thing here in the blue line is that through a lot of the initiatives and the decisions that this board has made with administration, we were able to hold the employee premium flat. It's kind of unheard of in the healthcare industry today. Medical and pharmacy trend continues to increase year over year, almost 8 to 9% over the same time period. So through some initiatives, through contract negotiations, holding those employees' deductions out of their paycheck is a big win for your employees. We did initially implement what we called an advocate center. We think that's a huge support to your members that are covered underneath the plan. This is a resource for them to call in, ask questions. Healthcare is complicated. There's a lot of things that happen especially when someone is, needing to access care. So having that resource for them to have people and advocates that can help them through those times has been a success. The enrollment support as well is another big area that we support the district in at annual open enrollment, helping your employees and your retirees just understand the choices that they have, really helping them navigate what they need specifically for them. These enrollment specialists help them do that. They get on the call with them. They help them make the elections on the Solaric system, the online system, and work through the process. Couple other things on here, negotiating your contracts. There were 3 big periods of time in the 3 years that we negotiated some pretty large contracts. 2 times we negotiated the pharmacy contract. Early on in 2023, it yielded about $13 million in savings. Again, that contract was renegotiated in 2025. That yielded an additional $16 million in savings. So constantly reviewing those contracts, the pricing conditions within them is critical to keeping the rates down and the costs down in your plan. The Medicare Advantage plan was another contract that was renegotiated early on in 2023. It yielded about $5.5 million in savings. So we will continue to make sure that you are partnering with the right carriers and vendors. You have the best pricing arrangements and contracts the district can have, and we continue to do that on a regular basis. Just to note, in 2026, our initial renewal projection, without making any changes to your current benefit plans, was projected to increase by about $6.6 million. That 6.6 does align with what we see medical and pharmacy trend to be, so it was roughly about 9%. But of course, working with administration, we're going to talk about some things to mitigate that 6.6. All right. So going into our partnership with Louisiana Blue, they're here tonight if we have anybody that has any questions, but we're simply going to talk about that plan that is available for your actives and your retirees. Currently today, you have a choice of 3 plans for your employees to pick from. Going forward, your employees and your retirees will actually have a choice of 6 plans. 2 of the plan options, the core and the buy-up, are going to remain exactly the same. And we're actually going to offer an additional plan option that was not offered in the past, which is a high deductible health plan. That plan is going to be introduced this year in 2026. We had a lot of employees ask about a high deductible health plan. We think that it's relative in the space and something that your employees are really going to appreciate and enjoy. Like mentioned, the 6 plans are going to be identical. So you're going to have 3 plans that are going to be available, core, buy-up, and high deductible. And you're going to select the providers. Your members will select the providers that they want to partner with. So Community Blue is a network of providers that anchor around the Baton Rouge General and the Ochsner network. So that plan will be offered in a core arrangement, in a buy-up arrangement, and a high deductible plan. If you have members that do not utilize those providers, Baton Rouge General or Ochsner, and maybe they prefer to go to Our Lady of the Lake or Woman's, they'll be able to select those plans under the Precision Blue plan options. Again, same benefits, core, buy-up, and high deductible. They simply choose the network that they want to be associated with. all of the providers in the Louisiana Blue Network are the same provider. So no member will not have access to a provider. So even if they do choose the Community Blue plan, they will still have access to Our Lady of the Lake or Woman's, and then vice versa. So if a member chooses the Precision Blue plan, they will still have access to Baton Rouge General and Ochsner. When they do choose those plans, the only difference is, or those providers that aren't in the network, they will pay 20% more than they would in that first tiered arrangement. And we'll go into the benefits a little bit further down the road. So we put this chart together just to kind of make it simple for the plan choices and how your members and retirees will go about making their elections. So first, they're going to choose their plan, core, buy-up, or high deductible. Next, they're going to choose their provider preferred partnerships. So Community Blue, again, Ochsner, Baton Rouge General, Precision Blue, Our Lady of the Lake, or Woman's. In order to choose those plans, they'll have two options to do that. They can either call into Gallagher's Enrollment Center, talk to an advocate, help them talk through which provider choices and plans best fits them and their family's needs, or they can simply go online through the Celerix portal and make their benefit election.
Stop you right here. One thing I think is going to be important that everyone understands is that unlike the past where you could just roll over your benefits, they will have to make a choice between community and precision this year. So everybody will have to make a choice during the enrollment period.
Yes, sir. That's a great point. It's going to be a mandatory enrollment, right? So we want to make sure that, we encourage everyone to call into the enrollment center and have the conversation, because we want to make sure that everybody understands the options that are available to them. Having a conversation is probably the easiest way to do that, but it will be a mandatory enrollment. In years past, it was what's called a passive enrollment. This year, it's going to be mandatory. Okay. So this is a snapshot of the plan designs. So when we talk about the members' cost share, their deductibles, their coinsurance, their copays, again, you have your three plan options: the buy-up, core, and high deductible. Regardless if they choose the Community Blue or the Precision, you can see what benefit level will apply depending on what provider they go to. So, for example, in the buy-up option, as long as they're seeing a provider that is in the network that they've chosen, a member would pay their $600 deductible. If they happen to go to a provider that is not in that network that they chose, because they have access to those other providers, they would pay $800 to go to that provider. So again, no limitation in providers. It would just be they would pay a little more to go to the provider that they didn't choose. So you'll see that same theme go down for family deductible. Out of pocket remains the same. So all of their claims are going to accumulate to the same out of pocket. And then your coinsurance is going to have a differential there. One of the things that was rolled out a couple years ago was a $0 copay for PCPs. That is going to stay in place. So as long as they're seeing their provider in their chosen network, then they would pay nothing to see a primary care physician. Same thing for the core. Again, there's that 20% differential. In network, $1,000. Tier 2 would be $1,200, and so forth. High deductible is going to work the same way. All right, so from a rates perspective, like we mentioned, we were able to hold the employee rates flat. So there's going to be no change in deductions for your active employees or your non-Medicare retirees that participate in the plan, in addition to your retirees, and we'll kind of illustrate that on the next page. As you can see, the majority of your population is sitting in the core plan. Most employees and retirees do elect that plan, but the deductions are going to remain exactly the same. I know we mentioned, we kept the premium flat, but that premium has actually been flat since 2021. So no change there. All right, I am going to turn it over to Haley.
Thank you, Kim. So obviously a lot going on with the healthcare proposals. We also wanted to touch on other items such as pharmacy, dental, vision, and of course our Medicare Advantage plan through United Healthcare. So I'll go over that next. So Express Scripts is our pharmacy benefit manager. They are the people that administer our pharmacy plan. We are excited to continue that partnership there. The benefits for those plans, we would propose to remain the same. What we would like to suggest or propose as an enhancement to the pharmacy is to now cover preventive drugs, maintenance medications. This would be, for example, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. There may be some depression medications in that, in the little bubbles here. And that would be covered in full for the members. So that's an enhanced benefit. The cost of that to expand that coverage is going to cost the district about $700,000. But we do know by allowing better coverage here that our members who need these medications would be more likely to get them filled. They are not paying out of pocket when they go to the pharmacy to pick up these prescriptions. So we believe that they would be more compliant in the care that they get and therefore prevent more catastrophic things from happening, heart attack, stroke, etc. All right, so let's touch now on our Medicare Advantage. So Kim briefly mentioned our Medicare, our age 65 retirees. Some of them do choose to be on the Blue Cross plan, but the majority of them choose to be in the United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plan. We have about 4,000 retirees that live there today. So United Healthcare, we are proposing to renew with them. I'll get to the savings in that in just a minute, but one thing that is being proposed is that there is no change to the retiree contribution and what they would be paying for this coverage. But now, starting in 2026, they will have two separate ID cards. So when they go to the doctor, they would have one card. When they go to the pharmacy, they would have another card. So that's the only change there. And the district did get some savings by doing that split of the medical and the pharmacy. And I'll get to that in just a second. Next, I want to touch on the dental and the vision, which is both administered through MetLife. We did receive a 5% premium increase from MetLife for the dental coverages. We did go out and do a market check for other carriers, but no one was able to beat that 5%. This is a voluntary product for our actives and our retirees. When you think about the 5% of that premium, it can range from about 86 cents increase per month up to families that are about $4 to $5 increase per month. Vision, there is no change there. We are in a rate guarantee. MetLife was able to enhance our vision benefit by doing a little bit more towards our frames allowance. So when we go to the eye doctor and we need those frames maybe once a year, in the past it was a $120 annual limit, and that has been enhanced to $130. They also did some other enhancements for legally blind benefits, and they will be in network when Warby Parker opens a Baton Rouge location next year. I know. Right now I think they're only on Magazine Street or in Lakeside, so we're excited about that. All right, next up is life and disability. So Zurich is the administrator for our life and disability products. We were able to negotiate with Zurich, who has been our partner, through a marketing effort. We had other carriers come in that were more competitive than what we have today. We were able to share that marketing results with Zurich, and in order to retain or attempt to retain your business, they did drop their premium for the district by $620,000. So things like that were adding up to help offset that $6.6 million increase that we were given with the health plan. In addition to that, through the marketing efforts, Zurich was also able to lower their short-term disability premiums. So today, employees have the option, it's a voluntary product, to supplement their income in the event that they're out due to an illness or an accident. And now their payroll deductions effective January 1 will be reduced by 5%. So they'll notice that reduction in their paychecks. A few other additional benefits Kim mentioned on the high deductible health plan. We will also have the addition of a health savings account. So the health savings account is a mechanism for those that are enrolled in the high deductible plan to put money aside through payroll deductions tax-free. So the money that goes into that account is theirs to use for any qualified medical expenses. They can also use it for dental expenses and vision expenses as well. It's their own personal banking account. So the district can't tell them what the balance is. They manage those funds how they wish, and it rolls over year to year. So I think that's why we got a lot of engagement and want from those products in the past. What we're proposing is that the health savings account, along with COBRA and flexible spending account, would move to Solarix, who also manages our benefits administration system. We do believe that it would be more streamlined for the benefits team at EBR to have that partnership with Solarix. And the cost of moving from our current health equity to Solarix to the district is about $19,000. Okay, so we talked about a lot this evening. It's going to be crucial how we communicate all of these changes out to our employees and to the retirees. So what have we done thus far, and what do we plan to do in the event that this is approved? So just last week on July 30th, we did send a district-wide email out to our actives asking them if they're interested in learning more about what's being presented tonight at the Committee of the Whole, that Gallagher would host a webinar for them to learn more about these options that we're going through this evening with you guys. So that was a webinar that was hosted last week. Once the board approves what we are suggesting, we will work with our partners at Louisiana Blue to customize employee communications, whether that be flyers, postcards. We'd like to mail those out and also have electronic copies to upload to the district's benefits website. We always customize a benefits guide, so that is also for actives and retirees to educate them on the plan designs and the premiums that they pay. That will be designed along with a video, which we send out every year in conjunction with the guide. Louisiana Blue has offered us generously an on-site person that will sit here in the benefits office to support Ms. Bradley in the benefits team and her team. So that person that will work for Louisiana Blue will be present at this office during October for open enrollment to help to make sure that employees are educated on the options that they have for 2026. Kim mentioned we'll also have the support of the Gallagher Enrollment Center. So that is also going to be sent out as an option through text alerts. So employees will get a text to say, hey, open enrollment's here or it's coming. You have the option to speak with a counselor. It could take 15 to 20 minutes, but they are specifically trained in all these new plans. So they'll be able to offer that one-on-one support. And Mr. Gaudet mentioned, we want to let everyone know that this will be mandatory. So we're definitely going to have that in the communication strategy since it's going to be fairly new for the employees. Outside of that, our retiree population is, of course, a huge piece of our population. So our retirees, which I mentioned, about 4,000 of them sit in the United Healthcare plans today. United Healthcare will mail each of those that participate a member guide. And within that member guide, the cover sheet will show What's changing for them? The only change will be those 2 separate ID cards. So they'll make that very clear in that cover letter when they mail it to their homes, that they'll be receiving new ID cards, and they want to make sure they share both, one with the pharmacy and one with the providers that they see. They will be in person for meetings at the IRC building, and we usually do 2 to 3 other meetings at the Crown Plaza. So we'll definitely communicate those out as well. The retirees that are on United Healthcare, this would be a passive enrollment. So we would not require them to make any changes unless for some reason they want to drop the coverage that they have or maybe move into the blue plan. If they don't take any action at all, then they would just simply roll over to what they had previously. All right. So coming to the close here, we just wanted to summarize everything that we've talked about today. Again, the contract to renew with Louisiana Blue from 2026 to 2028. The implementation of the 6 new health plans. No change to employee contributions. The pharmacy, the enhanced preventive medications that would be covered for your members in full. Renewing the Medicare Advantage population with United Healthcare, no change to benefits outside of the 2 ID cards. Really, I think one image we did want to show you guys as an overall picture of how much the district contributes to our actives and to our retirees and all combined. It is huge, and I think it's important for employees and their dependents to see how much the district actually contributes to their health plans. So the district is covering 76% of the premium for all of our actives and retirees, which is huge. And these are the other ancillary benefits: the dental and vision to remain with MetLife, life and disability to remain with Zurich, moving from Health Equity to Celerix for COBRA, flexible spending account and health savings account. And then last but not least, the stop loss typically does not get issued until September or October. So we would like to ask to authorize the superintendent to negotiate and execute that contract when that time comes. We've talked a long time.
Thank you very much for a very detailed walkthrough of this. Are there any comments from the audience? There are no comments online. Board Member Martin.
Just a quick question. I understand that the active employees are required to make an enrollment choice. Are there any mandatory enrollment choices for the retirees, or are they going to continue on what they had if they don't make a different choice?
The retirees do not, for the ones that are in United Healthcare, do not need to take any action.
Okay.
If you're a retiree under Blue Cross plans, you will need to take action since these are 6 brand new plans to choose. And we'll make sure we communicate that effectively to all of them.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have. I'll go ahead and move approval. Okay. So we have a motion on the floor.
Thank you. Board Member Ballou. Oh, the second is by Board Member Stewart. Board Member Ballou.
I was glad to see a high deductible plan offered for the first time, and I'm just curious, is that common with school systems that you've worked with? Or?
Yes, yeah, I would say most school systems do have a high deductible health plan. OGB offers the group benefits. They also offer a high deductible health plan.
Looking for a competitive advantage, I guess. We don't have.
Thank you. Board Member Lewis.
Please go over and beyond contacting our retirees, please. You know, those people gave their blood, sweat, and tears to this district, and they need to be taken care of.
Thank you very much. Any other board comments? We have a motion by Board Member Martin, seconded by Board Member Stewart. Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we have the item D6, Pupil Progression Plan. Consideration of request for the approval of the 2025-2026 School Year District Pupil Progression Plan, Strategic Alignment, Student Achievement. Is there a presentation on this, or there are no public comments?
No online.
No online comments? Any comments from the public? Do any board members have any questions?
I do a motion.
We have a motion by Board President Stewart. Do I have a second? By Mr. Martin. Seeing no further comments, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. We move now to item D7, Policy Agreement, Navigate 360. Consideration request for the approval of the following. A, Policy KG-Visitors to Schools. B, an agreement between East Baton Rouge Parish School Board and Navigate 360 in the amount of $98,532 to provide a visitor management system for the district. Funding source, general fund. Are there any comments from the audience?
No online.
None online. Are there any comments from the board? Ms. Sule.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that while it has my name listed next to the Navigate 360, I really am bringing forth the policy. And then our wonderful staff did some research to find the company that they thought was best. But really, what I'm bringing forth to the board is the policy, not the Navigate 360.
Would you like to make the motion?
And yes, I would like to make a motion.
And seconded by Board Member Stewart. Are there any other comments from the board?
Navigate 360 is here, if anybody has any questions for them or wants to hear from them.
I'm fine.
We are pleased and honored to have the opportunity to answer them.
And thunder came with your voice. I see no other, unless Navigate 360 would like to say anything.
Can I be heard? I just want to double check the sound is working. Okay.
Protect your school district. It means a lot to us. I came down there to thank you for that. And again, the opportunity here is tremendous to be able to put the product together. So thank you so much.
And who is?
I'm Matt Kane, CRO.
No, yes, thank you. But who's the voice of God coming in?
She's the magic one. Yeah, she's Tanya Jones, our VP that oversees this account. And she couldn't make it, so I came in to say thank you again.
Well, thank you very much.
We appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments on the board, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote.
Hearing the peal of thunder and a voice from the sky, I didn't know what was happening here.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 8, charter policy. Item number 8, charter policy.
Board members, if it pleases the board, I'd like to pull this item and take a couple of weeks. I want to meet with some of you. Some of you have called me directly and asked very specific questions. I want to meet with you and go over these in detail, face to face, so we can ask questions face to face, and then we'll come back.
Are there any objections?
No objections.
No objections. So we'll move on to item D9, amended policies. Consideration request for the approval of the following amended school board policies and related matters. ABCB, qualification for school board members. Item B, DJEG, purchase orders and contracts. Item C, IFA, instructional materials. Item D, or item C, must be a misprint. Item C, JBD, student absences and excuses. Item D, JCDAF, bullying. Item E, JDE, expulsion. And item F, JGCE, child abuse. Are there any comments from the audience? We have no online comments. From the board, Board Member Powell Lewis.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. This policy amendment, specifically DJEG, I'd like to offer a few comments regarding the proposed revision to policy DJEG, which includes a new clause for all professional services contracts. This update developed with the help of our legal counsel that ensures that vendors are aware of and agree to the possibility of informal visits, monitoring, and compliance checks by district staff. This policy shift is grounded in a real issue. At least one vendor expressed confusion after receiving an unannounced visit from district personnel last school year. Without a formal clause in place, it can create misunderstandings or discomfort. Just as teachers and other educational professionals operate with the understanding that informal observations are part of their role, it's only fair that we extend that same transparency and expectation to our service providers. So this amendment protects both the district and our vendors. It promotes clarity, accountability, and trust, values that are essential to maintaining strong professional partnerships. I appreciate your support and welcome any follow-up conversation, and I would like to make the motion that we approve this item 9.
And I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion by Board Member Powell Lewis and a second by Board Member Stewart. Seeing, are there any other comments from any other board members?
No.
Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D10, tax plan project, high school in the southern part of the parish. Consideration of a request to pause the project of the new secondary school or new middle and high school in the southern part of the East Baton Rouge Parish School District, high school in the south, described as a plan to improve facilities, technology, discipline, and compensation in East Baton Rouge Parish School System, quote, the plan, as revised through February 22nd, 2018, located at the intersection of Riga Road and Seeger Lane, send to the Oversight Committee for approval, and require the superintendent and staff to consult with the realtor to review alternative sites and report updates and findings to the board for consideration of a new site. Are there any comments from the audience? There are no comments on the online comments. Comments from the board. Board Member Lewis.
Yeah. Ms. Sule, my name is on this one. Oh. Yeah, you had the one before. No, but if anyone's driven out on C and Lane anytime during the day, that is I mean, it's like Spaghetti Junction out there. And we're talking about putting a high school in that stretch of property that we own out there. So you're looking at moving a conservative estimate, 1,000 to 1,100 people a day on Segan Lane in the morning and in the afternoon. It just doesn't work. I think there's a safety issue. I think we're going to have problems with businesses and with other people out there in that community that sits behind it. I don't think they're going to want people cutting roads through there. I was not a part of this board when that purchase was made, but I just think it was kind of ill-conceived to want to put a high school smack dab in the middle of the busiest intersection in this city. And we're talking about school buses, kids driving cars, carpools, people. To me, it's just not a good idea. And I think even with a traffic study, Mr. Cole, is that possible?
As I understand it, if the board chooses to pause this item, we could potentially go out and get an outside entity to come in and do a traffic study. I have a relationship with Fred Rayford at the city. He would review the traffic study to determine whether or not what it says aligns with what they're seeing in terms of the city's traffic studies. So it is definitely possible to do. So.
Okay. And one of the main concerns with the new construction of BRCPA was getting that traffic off of Acadia. I visited with Dr. Moore this morning, and he said they went through the carpool line in about 20 minutes. I mean, for years, I avoided Acadia when VPRCA was taking in and letting out. It was just a headache. And I think we should have the same considerations when we look at this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to make the motion, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Powell Lewis, seconds. Thank you. Next on the queue is Board Member Martin.
I'd like to ask staff to outline kind of what would be the consequences if we were to adopt this motion. As I understand, the tax plan was approved by voters. This board, different group of people, but this board has approved this site, and it's been approved for a number of years. While it may or may not be the site that I would pick if I were starting fresh, I'm not starting fresh. A lot of planning and commitments have gone into getting to this point. My primary concern is we've made commitments to this parish to build this school in the south part of parish, and if we pause at this point, then that delays, I believe that would delay the opening of the school at least a year, and that's assuming we could move very rapidly to find a new site, redo the designs and stuff like that. So it could delay the construction and opening of this new school, which was promised to the south part of the parish, 2 or 3 years even. So if the superintendent or council could speak to what the consequences are, how long would this delay if we were to go out and find a new site, and what would the consequences be from the oversight committee and compliance with the law? Would we be subject to being sued for not complying with the tax plan's directives and so forth? If the staff could speak to that, please.
Mr. Chairman, I don't mean to cut you off, but we need one out there, brother, for real. I just don't know if this is where to put it.
No, I understand that, Coach. It's simply a matter of there are consequences to delaying, right? And that part, and it's not like, oh, let's pick another site. Next week we have another site, and boom, everything stays on schedule. There's consequences to the schedule that has consequences to a lot of different things. I just want to understand what they are as we consider this item.
I'll jump in briefly, then I'll let Ms. Anderson come up and give us perspective from the project manager's view. But from our perspective, process-wise, if the board approves this in 2 weeks, it would need to go to Oversight Committee, and the Oversight Committee is a body that approves any changes significantly to the tax plan once this board makes a recommendation. So if a positive vote occurs in 2 weeks, I believe the Oversight Committee convenes next in October, and they would have to consider the matter. If they approve, then at some point we would come back to the board and the superintendent with additional options, possibly from a realtor and some other options, some other sources. This board would have to consider those options and then vote on a new site. I could let Ms. Anderson come up. That would occur probably, I would say 3 to 4 or 5 months at a minimum before we can come back to the board for that to happen. Ms. Anderson indicates that I believe that we've not yet reached the design stage on this project. There's been some initial planning. We're entering the design stage. I'm not sure what the costs have been up to this point, but she can answer that. From our perspective, we bring something back to the board, say in 4 or 5 months. You would have to consider a new site and we start over. So the delay would probably be about a year, but the Oversight Committee would have to approve before we do anything else.
So, and just so I'm clear on where the legal authority lies, what we really do is make a request to the Oversight Committee.
That's correct.
That we would, this vote is really to ask the Oversight Committee to change the tax plan to evaluate other sites for this.
That's correct.
And they're actually the legally binding decision.
That's correct. And the Oversight Committee is a structure built into the tax plan and
Right.
approved by this board and the voters. So it's the legally sound way to go, but they would be the mechanism to approve moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, be happy to hear from Ms. Anderson.
Well, I was just going to say, in terms of consequences, we have not started anything. The most we have done is an environmental phase 1, and that was a part of the land purchase, just to check out if there were any issues or concerns with the land. So in terms of putting out an RFQ for designers, any design, we have not started that process. So you wouldn't be moving backwards.
And when is all that scheduled to happen currently? The going out for design and stuff like that. Let's assume the motion tonight doesn't pass, and when would all that be happening?
So right now, once we transitioned with the superintendent, we kind of paused things so they could align the vision and then see what their realignment did as well. So we would just start a new schedule. It would not shift anything. We had already kind of paused that. In the tax plan, it was slated to start November of 2024. We go out with an RFQ for designers. Right at that time is where we have the interim and just that transition. And so with the transition, we've just kind of paused until further notice.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer Mr. Martin's question immediately, I think your question was what would be the next steps if tonight the vote would fail. I believe Ms. Anderson is set to move ahead with design.
Oh, yes, we can start that immediately, correct.
Well, I mean, that's, I guess, part of my question then, Mr. Shamlin, is Ms. Anderson says it was really slated to start all the design process a year ago, roughly. Is that, and it was paused. This board did not vote to pause it. It was just paused. So how specific is the tax plan regarding when construction will start? And are we at risk of being in lack of compliance with the tax plan? And would this board even actually need to vote to delay it if the superintendent just decided he wanted to vet this some more? Could he just do that? Because we delayed a year already without a vote of this board.
Yeah. So with regard, and I want to make sure I'm understanding your question, with regard to programming and planning, the superintendent has a lot of authority to move ahead in those areas. The board still would have to approve any major steps, selection of an architect, et cetera, right? If we change the location, if we do anything significantly different with the tax plan, then the Oversight Committee would have to approve those major steps. And I believe, and I don't have the language in front of me, but it's in the actual tax plan. Financial shortcomings, unforeseen events, et cetera, those things fall under the oversight of the Oversight Committee. And so we would take that to them for final approval if this board feels that's needed. And I hope I'm answering your question, but
I think so, but I mean, I guess if this item hadn't been added to the agenda, right, then we'd be hitting the design stage, and I presume, if I remember what we've followed in the past, we would have been brought, within the next few months, we would have brought a request for authorization to sign, for the superintendent to sign the design contracts and so forth, okay? But if the superintendent on his own, without us taking a vote or anything like that, decided to just delay another year, like the decision was made in 2024, to delay for a year while, Superintendent Cole, got up to speed and all that, then that could happen too, right? We wouldn't be, we've already delayed a year, and we're not failing in compliance with the tax plan.
that's correct. This superintendent could delay the project. I wouldn't want to, and I'm just being honest with you, to protect him, I wouldn't want to lay that at his feet because we're already somewhat late on this project. It's something he could do for planning purposes.
Well, and I'm not suggesting that he should, nor do I want to lay it on his feet either. This, before the board, we need to make a kind of a go, no-go decision on this site, I think. But I'm just highlighting that it's been delayed a year that this board didn't pick to do. So, I'm really just trying to understand what are the consequences of delay versus proceeding, right? When under the tax plan, is there an outside date by which the school needs to be constructed?
There's no set date for completion, to my knowledge. Ms. Anderson, is there a set date for completion?
In the tax plan?
In the tax plan?
It sets the date to start.
Right.
And then from there, depending on what the program and the extent of construction needs to be, that determines that completion date.
So, all right, so the tax plan does specify that it should start.
Correct. There is a schedule in the tax plan for each project of when it's to
All
start.
right, and the date for this project was a year ago?
Correct.
Set in the tax plan. So we've already delayed a year from what the tax plan said to do,
Correct.
right? And so now the proposal is to delay some indefinite period of time while we go back and see if there's a better location that we could find, which presumably would also, we've already purchased this property, correct?
Yes.
So to relocate it, we would have to go buy another piece of property, correct?
Correct. Unless it's a donated piece.
This property was donated to us?
No, I said unless you find
Oh, unless we
something
found
to be
somebody to donate it, yes, okay. All right, I'm not sure that I can support, delaying this in light of the tax plan, and the fact that we've already delayed a year, which I had not realized. So I'm not sure that I can support this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Martin. Board Member Rust.
Thank you. I think Mr. Martin asked most of the questions I was going to ask in terms of how things play out. I think, as I understand the tax plan, and Mr. Shamlin, correct me if I'm wrong, it's less about completion dates, but more about specific named projects and also the order in which they are to be undertaken. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So we have this particular project, as well as, I believe, is it McKinley?
Yes.
That's slated to be next in the tax plan. There's a couple of exposures here, and I'll preface this by saying that I've had a lot of concerns about this site since it was bought. I was paying attention when this was bought in 22. Was it 22 that the board purchased this site? And shared a lot of the same concerns that Mr. Lewis shared, that I wasn't sure this was an ideal site for a high school or a school in general. And I've expressed that to several superintendents now. Mr. Cole, thankfully, and I've had conversations about this, and I've also in the past year met with leaders in that community and talked about, like, what would the impact of the building of this high school be? What are the logistics? What are the problems that we're looking at? And we don't have necessarily enough information, traffic studies and all that. My concern at this point, as I thought about it as a board member, is, okay, it was up to me. If I was king for a day, what would I do? is that we're so far into this process where the project should have already started. We're already behind. Is this what I think could be the ideal site? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the ideal site, but it's the site that a board chose. And this board has had 3 years to be aware of that fact and had plenty of time to move or to make decisions around that if we so chose. But there's already been money invested in this project, whether it's just the purchase of the land or environmental studies, whatever it is. And I think a move to delay this further would open the tax plan in this board to litigation because it could be seen as a intentional delay on this programming and things like that so that we could get to the design phase. And if this project did get delayed and other projects moved forward, that could be a material breach in what the Oversight Committee is legally tasked in doing in honoring what people voted for. And at the end of the day, whether I like the situation that we're in or not, I think largely it's more important for us as a board and as a school system to honor the commitment that we made to voters, because we have a very short road to planning our next tax plan. We're also considering a revenue bond, and we need to demonstrate as a board that we honor our promises, even when those are promises that previous boards have made. So I don't support delaying this project further. I think a lot of schools in our community are not in the perfect spot, but I think that there are communities around this school that will benefit from the school. And there's a lot of discussion still to be had about what type of school are we even building. That's the exciting part, and where we get to discourse with our superintendent about the opportunity that we have with this site. And I can promise you that there is a need for a high school in South Baton Rouge, which is why people voted for it. So I don't support moving this or delaying it. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Russ. Board Member Baloo.
Thank you. As a member of the board, when we chose this site, I thought I'd just weigh in and give some perspective, but the challenge we had was that there's just no land out there in the southern part of the parish. It's a fast-growing area. It's being developed very fast, and we spent a long time searching for property. It took, somewhere around 2 years, it seemed like. And that was the problem, was just lack of availability. And we were finally presented with 3 options that met our needs, but none of them were ideal. So we had the choice of 3 bad options, I guess, or imperfect options, and this wound up being the one that the majority of the board thought was best. But I assure you, we didn't have a lot to choose from, and I'm not hopeful 4 years down the road that we'd find any. It's probably going to be even tougher now. So I don't think this move would be wise now that we're already behind schedule. I think it would just create a long delay. So, thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Baloo. Board Member Stewart waves.
We ain't answered either.
Okay. Just checking on the online comments again. There's no online comments. Any other board comments?
No.
Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
I did a motion.
Yes, the motion is by Board Member Lewis and seconded by Board Member Powell Lewis.
Please vote. Motion fails.
Thank you. Now we move on to item D11, Resolution Revenue Bond. Consideration of request for the adoption of a resolution giving preliminary approval to the issuance of revenue bonds of the Parish of School Board of East Baton Rouge, State of Louisiana. Superintendent Cole or Mr. Crochet, would anyone like to explain this, or you're good?
Well, I can tell you, I can't explain the details of the bond process. We have a representative here to do that, but I can tell you why I'd like to pursue it.
Please.
Andrew Jaro, go ahead.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Andrew Jaro of Foley and Udell will be bond counsel for the school board. The resolution in front of you is just a procedural resolution that starts the bond process, and it accomplishes three things. First, it sets maximum parameters for the bonds, and I'm sure y'all have the frequently asked questions in front of y'all. The maximum is $40 million at a 20-year term at a rate of no larger than 6%. Second, it authorizes us to make application to the State Bond Commission on behalf of the school board. And last, it hires the professionals that will work together as a team to shepherd the process and get this done.
Throughout my travels during year one, meeting with school leaders and teachers, families, and more importantly, students, and listening to their requests, much of what I heard from our high school students is their desire to have school be more than just English, math, science, and social studies. And consistently, as I visit schools, kids walk up to me and ask about various different aspects of their high school experience and how we can enhance it, from additional supports for their clubs and ROTC, materials, research, supply materials, and things they need for ancillary courses, CTE and career readiness equipment and lab needs, fine arts requests such as curtains, stage improvements, lighting. Many of our facilities, when they were built with lights that need to be replaced instead of being repaired. And then, of course, one of the more attractive amenities of our schools, high schools, are our athletic facilities. And so in having those conversations and thinking about how do we utilize the dollars we have versus seeking dollars that could be assigned to this specific initiative, I did some research and talked to some folks, and they told me we should consider pursuing a bond. And having a conversation with our finance department, I learned that we were ending payment on a bond very soon, and we might be able to use those same dollars to pursue a bond. So it would be no increased cost to the district, and those monies would be dedicated specifically for facilities upgrades. And some of what I discussed with bond counsel include those facility upgrades. Now, I think we have to consider the high schools we have in our city, and then high schools in other comparable cities in Louisiana as well as in other states. And then when we think about the independent school systems that surround us and some of the districts that surround us, if we go to those schools and see what they offer in the 4 areas I just mentioned, their focus, their energy, their effort has been to expand the overall high school experience. We walk into unions, we see relationships with restaurants. Some of the high schools in Denham Springs, for instance, have restaurants in their unions, turf fields, nice press boxes, beautiful performing arts centers, beautiful career and technical ed centers. And so these are the things that have been requested of me. Even going down to many of our high school bands. I don't know if all of you saw Liberty Magnet High School on the news the other morning. They sounded wonderful. They sound wonderful. It was amazing expression and an exhibition of excellence in our schools. But the first thing the parents did when the cameras went off was ask, when are you going to buy us some band uniforms? And for me, it hurts because I think our students are missing out on opportunities to showcase their talent because oftentimes they're denied an opportunity to participate in Mardi Gras parades in New Orleans because they don't have band uniforms to participate. Oftentimes when they miss out on opportunities to participate, they miss out on opportunities to be seen and have an opportunity to go to college and for free as a result of their performance. Our performing arts students oftentimes don't have the lighting and the infrastructure they need to perform at school. Some of our career and technical ed interested students don't have those laboratories and career and technical ed resources at their school. And then when we go to facilities, for a school system our size, we have not won a state championship in football since 1970. The last high school to win a football championship in the East Baton Rouge Parish school system was Tara High School in 1970. Am I correct, Ms. McCain? That's correct. And so ultimately, we have to think about our ability to recruit the best and the brightest based on what we have to offer them around all of the high school experience resources. So I think we do a pretty good job of offering a robust academic programming for our students. But when we see our students leaving the parish or leaving our school system for other schools in the district, and we hear they're going because I want to participate in performing arts, I want to participate in this very robust engineering program, I want to go to a school that has a nice weight room, I want to go to a school that has a really nice football field, we have to make the investments in our high school experience, the overall high school experience. And then we have to look at what is needed at our high school. So process would be, if this were approved tonight, I'd sit with all of our high schools that we supervise, every single one. I would ask them to do a needs assessment based on those 4 areas. Then I would go back to them and talk about how they prioritize those needs based on the assessment. And then we talk about the distribution of funds. We want to be fair and equitable based on need across the board. We recognize some of our high schools have more than others, and in order to upgrade what they have wouldn't cost as much. But we work with those high schools to determine what that looks like. Today I got a request from Capital High School because they have moved into a newer facility, whereas at the old Capital High School, they were asking for resources in the excess of $300,000. Today they sent me a request for $7,000 for the media program, much less, much less. But when we improve our facilities, when we make the type of decisions we made, we put ourselves in a better position to provide our students with what they need. And so that is what I'm seeking to do, make our high schools more attractive, make the experience more attractive, without using general fund dollars, without using or going out for a new tax, and without taking away from that which I know we need to do, which is work extremely hard. And we are working hard to provide our employees with a raise by restructuring the way we are looking at our salaries. So I take all of that into consideration, all of the requests and needs of not only our students and families, but our employees as well. And we're trying to accomplish them all as quickly as we can with the resources we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just to be clear, this is only a preliminary. This is not the approval to issue.
No, not at all.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, if the board decided tomorrow didn't want to move forward with it, that'd be completely fine.
Thank you. Just to clarify. Board Member Martin.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Beg your pardon. We do have an online comment.
Okay.
Sorry.
This comment is from James Finney. This item is premature. Just because money could be borrowed doesn't mean it should. That's it.
Thank you. Now, Board Member Martin.
Thank you. The superintendent answered my first question, which was just to clarify that basically we're taking money that's been paying debt service for other projects, and that's free now because it's getting paid off at the end of December, and so now we're borrowing more to do more new things, so I think that's fantastic. I support the item. Two notes, one serious, one lighthearted. On the serious note, I know that that a number of schools desperately need new band uniforms. I would hope that we can find a way to buy band uniforms more frequently than every 20 years. and I don't, in general, like the concept of borrowing money for a 20-year term to use to pay for band uniforms. I know in many cases we are, in fact, using the same band uniforms for 20 years, but that's not the state of affairs we desire. So, and you and I have talked before, and I've suggested that we have a list of things like band uniforms that we try to have ready and available, that we use any surplus revenues we may have at the end of a fiscal year to purchase. So I'd encourage you to do that. A more lighthearted note, I just want to note that Terra High desperately needs a new track. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Board Member Martin. Board Member Powell-Lewis.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this information, Superintendent Cole and gentlemen. Thank you so much. First, I want to applaud Superintendent Cole and Ms. Lightfoot if she's in the room. I know that you all have been desperately trying to engage in fundraising, and then on top of that, to engage in this conversation about a revenue bond shows that we are really trying to work to make sure that we have the financial resources that we need to. There are just some things that came to mind just while Superintendent was speaking. One is the idea of communities and schools. That is a national model that has been established in other parts of the country. And I've had the chance to visit some of those sites before. And the idea, oh, thank you. And the idea of having washing machines, dryers, possibly even a food pantry, even a dentist's office or a clinic in a school really comes in handy in our schools when we talk about those parts of our communities that come to school in survival mode. So I hope that that is something that will be considered as well. Also, Coach and I have talked about on several occasions the initiative or the launching of a profile of a graduate, and what is it that we want to see our graduates have as far as certifications and attainments and things that allow them to be fully prepared to be a sufficient adult. And then just as, excuse me, just as Superintendent mentioned, if we were to visit Denham Springs High, Zachary High School, we would see some of these things in place, including credit unions on campuses, real coffee shops, things of that nature. But it does take seed money to start that process. And just as Mr. Martin mentioned, I got a chance to visit Estruma High this morning, and they have a half of a gym floor, Superintendent Cole. Just wanted to put that on your radar. Thank you.
Mr. Russ?
Thank you. I'll share a couple of thoughts I have about Mr. Cole's plan first in terms of some intention for what we could do with this bond money. It's not easy for us as a board or a system to get access to undedicated funds. Even our own savings account is hard to spend. So I think that it is a real opportunity that we should consider as a board. I really like the concept as I sat down and talked with Mr. Cole about focusing this investment around what does the high school experience look like. I always pay attention to Mr. Lewis when he brings up, how do you make kids want to come to school? And especially when kids are of that age where they're teenagers and they're in high school, they've got to have something that gets them in the building. For some kids, that's academics. For some kids, it's athletics. It might be technical training. It might be any number of the different things that we offer to kids. And I know that in a lot of our high schools, we built some great programs, but they need a lot of love. And we've seen that across the district at all the high schools that we all serve. And so, one thing I want us to be careful about, and I've asked Mr. Cole to do as we kind of move through this process, is think about how do we make sure we meet the needs of each individual school, because they all have different programming. Some have some new facilities, some have some old facilities. So how do we make sure that we're getting them what they need, and what will serve those kids with the tracks and the programs that they have? How do we make sure that we do it equitably in a way that meets the needs but doesn't dump all of our money in one pot? And so I would, ask Mr. Cole to be thinking about, if we do proceed with putting these bonds up for sale and we receive the money, putting together a process that helps us as a board make good decisions, that ensures that every high school student in the district is going to be able to benefit in some way, or at least every high school can benefit from some way in this investment. And then I think outside of that, really, my only concern, because I tend to be a bit conservative about spending money, is what we have to also be careful with as a board is that we have made some commitments, whether they're hard or they're soft, to our staff about how we're going to compensate them in the future. And while the debt load of this magnitude is not enormous, we do have some choices and some decisions ahead on how we're going to retain highly effective staff. And so I would hope before we get to a point at which we decide as a board, okay, we're going to put these bonds up for sale, that we have a semi-clear picture of what that's going to look like in the next couple years. Because of my only concern is putting too much of a burden on the district's finances when we've got some other checks to cash. So I just want us to be real careful. But that all being said, this is a preliminary thing. We've got a lot to talk about before we decide to actually pull the trigger on this, and I'd support exploring it. Thanks.
Thank you. Board Member Lewis.
Mr. Russ, just echoed it. And one thing I don't want people to lose sight of, Mr. Cole did mention compensating our teachers. We all know that great teachers make great students. But also I can recall 10, 12 years ago, every Friday morning, there was a high school featured on Friday mornings. And there were big pep rallies and a lot of things going on. Those kids were excited about being in high school. They were excited about it. I don't see that anymore. Is the excitement still there? I don't know. But I do know that, the athletic piece, I think everybody knows where I stand on that. It's an extremely important part of the high school experience, but yet and still, it's an extracurricular activity. But that extracurricular activity could be some of those things, Mr. Russ, that will inspire a kid not to be absent. I'm there. If I want to play football, I got to pass algebra. I got to pass English. The fine arts is another thing. How a graduate, the makeup of a graduate. We have so many talented children in our schools, and those gifts are being wasted because we just don't have the wherewithal for them to grow and expand themselves. The CTE part, everybody's not going to college. I visited Walker High School last year, and I was blown away. Pipe fitting, welding, auto body, so many things that those kids were getting. I think he has over 2,000 kids in that school, or close to it. About a quarter of a mile down the street, there's a manufacturer that builds cabinets, ships them all over the world. Kids walk out of Walker High School down the street, and they've got jobs making $45,000, $50,000 a year because of the skills they picked up at Walker High School. If we're going to change the trajectory of our children in this community, we've got to give them what they need to grow. We've got to give them what they need to grow. I'm in favor of this. I'll support it. I'll get out and stand on the corners and hold signs up, Ms. Cole, whatever you need. But we've got to do this. It's preliminary, I understand. But if we're going to change the trajectory of this school district, we've got to become a progressive 21st century school district. Now, I'm saying that here on the verge of 2026, almost 26 years into the 21st century. And we're still trying to figure it out. But we've got to do it. We've got to do it. If not, we're going to be the next board will be sitting up here 12 years from now arguing the same things that we're talking about tonight. We've got to get started someplace. And I think this is a small step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Lewis. Any other board comments? There are no more online, but we did have a late card come in. Miss Tanya Nyman, you wave. Hi. Thank you. Seeing no other comments, we need a motion. Who moved?
Carla.
Carla? Ms. Powell Lewis?
Yep,
And Ms. Stewart. Any other board comments? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we move to item D12. Let me put this away. Item D12, reapportionment. Redistricting consultant, consideration of request for the approval of the recommendation to hire Data Center LLC as a consultant for reapportionment and redistricting services for the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board. We have a plethora of comments.
I have some online ones.
Okay. First, we have former board member Evelyn Ware Jackson. And following that will be Mr. Crump. And following that will be Ms. Nyman.
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Cole, board members. Superintendent Cole, just an aside, thank you so much for piloting that late start, that late start time. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Board members, I'd like to commend you for keeping your promise to move forward with this duty in fairness and with fidelity. The former board, which I served on, failed to do so last term. It may have taken you 3 years of your term to get here, but the process can still be completed within a timely manner for 2026 elections. Under normal circumstances, I'd have no concern. I'd be at home. It's raining outside. If there was not a long history of unfairness and a high disregard for following the law, I'd have no concerns and complete confidence in you moving this forward. If the board is truly interested in doing this very important part of your duty, the item will pass without opposition and honest work will move forward. So I encourage you, especially new board members, to learn all you can about this particular board duty because it is extremely important. And I'm confident that if this item passes, all members will receive all the information needed to do their jobs with fidelity and in a timely manner. People who are preparing to run in the districts where there will be open seats will be better prepared if this is done in a timely manner. So please do not use any excuses, especially not the creation of the St. George School District, as an excuse to put this off. The board elected in 2026 will most likely be well into years of service, and when all of these processes are in place, to put all those processes in place. So please do not delay, especially since the old plan is in question with at least a 39.7% deviation based on the 2020 census, and you'll learn more about this once you move forward. It's a question that the board should ask legal counsel about if you consider not moving this forward. And only 2 present board members voted for Plan 22, which was ruled invalid by the state court. So I ask that you move this forward, please. Thank you.
Mr. Crump?
Good evening. I'm Steve Crump. Madam President and board members, we have a high-level mathematical assignment, I think, on the table, and one that engenders trust and goodwill if we proceed expeditiously, if it's faithfully executed with confidence. Of course, confidence is naturally at stake, but so is timeliness. And so in the spirit of timeliness, underscoring what the previous speaker said, I think urgency really prevails here. And so let me say that I congratulate the board for getting this on the agenda tonight. Thank you. There are a lot of people, many people, a lot of stakeholders who are pleased to see this moving forward, making boundaries visible for all to see. That's what this is about. And it's going to be in the spirit of good faith, even though it's several years after the 2020 census. We all know that. And this would be my plea, to get the work done before, in advance of, a parish-wide election schedules. Get it done well before next year election season. So it's, I think, in everyone's mutual interest to finish well, do the project well, and pick a competent subcontractor to do this work. So again, I thank you. And we're looking for those invisible boundary lines that are going to be made manifestly visible. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nyman?
Good evening, Tanya Nyman, District 7. I am the proud parent of 2 graduates from the East Baton Rouge Parish School System, and I do thank you guys for putting this on the agenda tonight. As you can imagine, I got a couple of texts this week about the redistricting item, and I sat down this morning to, figure out a few points I'd like to make in my remarks, and 6 pages later, I wasn't finished. So I realized that I would not be able to fully explain myself in 3 minutes or less, and I abandoned all hope to do so. I came instead, people in the audience may have noticed, with what I affectionately call my treatise, which I wrote in 2021 and 2022 as we attempted to successfully compel this board to adopt a fair election map. At the moment, you'll notice on my card, I am a bit ambivalent. I appreciate the opportunity to raise awareness in the community about this issue, even by this item being on the agenda. I think moving forward with a genuine process at adopting a fair map would benefit the community because it would raise awareness about the fact that we cannot achieve a fully functional representative democracy without fair maps. They're fundamental. And if you attempt to rig a map to benefit one person or one party or a billionaire class, then you will not ultimately achieve that mission to do, which is outlined in our Constitution. Why it goes on for 6 pages. But I do hope that each of you will read the document. It is 23 pages. Every source is cited. You can access those sources through the East Baton Rouge Parish Library System. If you cannot find them through that system, I have PDFs I will happily email to you so you can review them for yourself directly. And if you require additional information, by all means, you can reach out to me. You have my name, you have my email address, I would assume at some point. You have my phone number, a number of you do. And for those at home, if y'all would like to learn everything that there possibly can, well, not everything, I mean, if you'd like to learn more about this process, then I please encourage you to at least check out the research I completed. You can find it at tanyanyman.substack.com. It's the first entry. You'll have to scroll to the bottom, parts 1 and 2. That is TANIANYMAN.substack.com for additional information. I do not think a board that, my apologies, was rigged originally. Well, it's been rigged throughout its entire history, but essentially also, especially in 2014, can necessarily unrig itself, and nor will the courts promise this. The only way is the power through the people. So people have to demand justice if we want fair maps.
Thank you. Now, Board President Stewart will now read the online comments.
First online comment is from Danny Altazan. I wish the board would vote to hire Data Center as they scored the highest on the scorecard this time from both applicant companies as well as in 2021 when the board voted to make a substitute motion to go with a different company that scored below them. We know how that played out and the controversy that it caused. Let's not make the same mistake twice, please. But more importantly, the board should not only make a decision on which company to hire, but should absolutely sign the contract to start these services as soon as possible. Do not use the St. George School District election as an excuse to avoid having these new maps ready to go pending the outcome in the April election, rather than waiting to just start the process after April. Otherwise, there is only 2.5 months before qualifying for the 2026 EBR PSS board elections to do all of redistricting. or worse, it's put off and yet another election will happen with 2010 census data being reflected rather than 2020. Next comment is from Kathy Carmichael. It is too bad the backup documents for this item do not include those from Census Channel. The results from the scoring sheet RFQ 0524 seem negligible, 1 point or 2 points in some cases. Dear School Board, you are not required to pick data center, but I do implore you to do something and not settle on map 22. Do not even consider settling on map 22 with minor changes. That would be a disservice to the community. Litigation filed in 2022 temporarily halted the implementation of Plan 22, long enough to force the elections that fall to be conducted based on a 9-member map approved in 2014. 6 new board members took place in January 2023, and none participated in the creation of Plan 22. Recall when we had 19 maps published in the BR Advocate newspaper. The community wants an 11-member map. In March 2022, more than 100 people made public comments about redistricting. The comments are still here for you to read. Next comment, Allison Eskin. My children attend an EBR public school. Our home is in the current St. George Incorporation. I am giving my endorsement and encouragement that the school board proceed with hiring Data Center, LLC, for reapportionment and redistricting services. The current maps are based on census data that was obtained 15 years ago. A newborn child who was included in that census is now 15 years old and mostly started the first day of their sophomore year in high school today. All students in EBRSS who are currently in elementary school, and the majority, if not all, of the students in middle school were not alive during that census. Their demographics and their families are not being accurately reflected or appropriately served by the 2014 maps. We are overdue for and reevaluation. It's time to stop the feet dragging, start walking, and serve the students who actively participate in this district. Next comment is from Hannah Amoroso. I am writing to ask that you move forward favorably with the recommended consultant so that an updated map can be made and voted on as soon as an accurate, fair, and up-to-date map can be presented. It is imperative that those considering running for school board in the next cycle know what district they are in. I hope that all of you are unwilling to continue to kick this can down the road and risk using either a map that is based on 2010 census data or one that risks reopening a federal lawsuit. Next comment is from Fairleigh Cook Jackson. I applaud the board for following through with your vote on November 16, 2023 to provide for the development of a board reapportionment and redistricting plan following the dismissal of the state lawsuit related to Plan 22. Our district voters and potential candidates deserve a current map based on most recent census data for our elections next year and deserve this as soon as possible. I support this item and encourage the board to vote to move this important process through. There are no reasons to delay, only excuses. Please support democracy. This is not a Republican or Democrat issue. It is about a current map based on the most up-to-date data in a timely manner. Next comment, Paige N. Colwell. I support the board moving forward with hiring a demographer to ensure a legal map in a timely manner prior to the 2026 elections. Next comment, Neva Buckins. Redistricting is fundamental to preserving democracy in our local institutions. As the mother of a young child who will be entering public school under these newly redrawn districts, I urge you to move forward with hiring a demographer and getting this right. The next comment is from Caitlin Joshua. My daughter attends an EBR public school. Our home is in the current St. George Incorporation. For reappointment, please consider the data center. We have been here before where the community came out in support for the data center, and we are once again asking for the board to please support us and choose the data center. That is all. Thank you.
That ends the online comment. Any further comments from the audience? Seeing none, now that we will go back to the board. First off, Board Member Martin.
Thank you. First, a question for Mr. Shamlin. If we take no action on this, or if we, well, let me rephrase that. If this board does not redistrict itself between now and the next election qualifying next July, am I correct in understanding that the 2026 fall election for school board members would be held under the map and districting approved by this board in 2022, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that was based on 2020 census data, not 2010 census data, correct?
That's correct.
And while the district court initially ruled against that map, the Court of Appeals overturned that decision of the district court, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And the lawsuit that was filed did not, if I understand correctly, allege any racial, disparities or racial bias, in that it was strictly, the lawsuit itself was strictly focused on the issue of whether precincts were unnecessarily split. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. When, Vice President Gaudet, help me remember something. When we considered this issue in November of 2023, I remember we had some discussions, and I remember, I think that you made the point that redistricting and the demography exercise that goes into it is inherently sort of a political issue, and that therefore we didn't, that we wanted to consider the issue of the selection of a demographer ourselves. Can you help me remember what that discussion was at that time and what the board's kind of consensus was?
The discussion at that time was that since it's not a typical RFP, that it is a political thing where we're looking at services, that the request at that time that this motion was passed was that the staff conduct the RFP, but make no scoring and make no recommendation to the board, that the entire, all of the information would come to the board and the board itself would choose. That was the process that was outlined during the discussion and approval of the motion.
Thank you very much. In light of the clearly stated, consensus of the board at that November 2023 meeting that Vice President Gaudet just described, and in light of, honestly, the paltry number of responses to this RFQ or RFP, whichever it was, that we received, then I would like to move that the RFQ be reissued and that the superintendent collate the responses to the reissued RFQ and present them to the board at a future committee of the whole meeting without scoring or recommendation. I make that motion.
So we have a motion by Mr. Martin. Do I have a second? A second by Mr. Rust. Thank you. So we have a motion on the board. Mr. Martin, are you done?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Powell-Lewis.
Thank you. So first, I want to start by asking Mr. Shamlin, could you restate the motion that is on the floor?
Well, I was going to ask Mr. Martin to restate it for me to make sure I have the wording right.
I'd be happy to. The motion is that the RFQ be reissued and that the superintendent collate the responses to the reissued RFQ and present them to the board at a future committee of the whole meeting without scoring or recommendation.
Okay, so perfect. So that means that there's no date attached to that or what have you. Okay, so then that kind of goes back to the statements that I was going to make. First, I want to share this was the most scariest part of me running for office was on redistricting and reapportionment, because I felt like I was not as knowledgeable as I should have been. And during candidates forums, I would just pray that nobody asked any questions about redistricting, because I needed to get my history in order in regards to that. But since then, of course, this is now 2025, and I think about this, that when we review the number of schools and the population that we are discussing, I know for myself, I have 11 schools in my district, not including district-approved charters. So I often question if I have the largest school board district as far as school sites are concerned, and that's after realignment. So when I think back to our time on the board, I know that many will say that we have had quite a bit of time to discuss this process. I know that our colleagues, like we've said before, have had conversations about this. 2023, we were battling school system operational concerns. Then from there, then we got a new superintendent, then we went through realignment. And so I just hope that in the time that we take with this, that we would take the data that we have and the information that we have. And I also thought about my newest colleague, Ms. Sule, you know, and I don't know how much information you have about redistricting, but if it is possible, Superintendent Cole, Mr. Shamlin, Mr. Smith even, to have unbiased workshop or information opportunity to understand the history behind the maps and what direction we may decide to be headed in.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Coach Lewis, Board Member Lewis, sorry.
Yeah. We're sitting down here in little old Baton Rouge, and we're discussing an issue that's discussed daily all over the country. We live in a country where the climate, I mean, I don't even recognize the United States of America for the most part. But this is something that we've got to take our time, and we've got to do it, and we've got to do it right. And we've got to have the best people qualified to do it. Without a lot of time to waste. You're exactly right, Carla. I'm just, I'm at a point where I don't want to waste time, but I want to get it done right. And this is an issue that's you have to decide this issue with your heart. What's right is right, and what's not right is not right. Right now, we've got a state that's redrawing congressional districts, trying to get 5 more people on their side. And we've got another state threatening to do the same thing if this state does it. I mean, and we're right here in little old Baton Rouge. And we're arguing the same kind of arguments. But this is what's right issue and what's fair and just and equitable. This is that issue that we face. And we've got to take our time, we've got to do it right. I'm going to support Mr. Martin's substitute money. Was that a substitute?
It's just the original.
Okay. Well, we'll see when the vote thing comes up, but I mean, this whole thing in this whole country just tugs at me every day, because it's not the country that it used to be. But in a sense, it's the country that it's always been. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Lewis. Board Member Rust.
Thank you. I do support Mr. Martin's motion. As Mr. Lewis put it, I've spoken with my colleagues. We've talked about this issue a number of times, and I understand the importance that it has to our board and to many of our colleagues. And I want to make sure that if our board does decide to do this and undertake this process, that we do it right and that we do it well. Having watched this board's redistricting process in the past, I have observed that it is an issue that can quickly divide a board. It can become heated and emotional because people feel that there's a lot at stake. And so I want us to do it carefully if we choose to. And I would, I sat and had a meal with our president and vice president early this year. And as we talked about this a bit, I said, what I'd really like to see is a framework for how we make these decisions so that we can, if we choose to hire a demographer, we can set out with the end in mind. This is the type of map that we want to take on. This is the permutations of that and give direction. And I think a mistake that is made sometimes in this process is just hire a demographer and just show us a lot of maps. And I think it sets up for a very chaotic process. And so I would ask our board leadership to do, whether this passes or it doesn't pass, is to think about what does a great process look like for undertaking this if our board decides to move forward that allows us to make decisions about what are our values around reapportionment and redistricting before we start crafting maps to start beating each other up over. So that's where I stand on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Russ. Any other comments from any other board members? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. We now move on to item D13, litigation. Consideration of request for the approval of a recommendation from Gwen Shamlin, General Counsel, East Baton Rouge Parish School Board, in the matter of Gwendolyn Flanagan versus East Baton Rouge Parish School Board, docket 22-05436, District 5, and related matters. Are there any comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, any comments from the board? Motion to approve by Mr. Russ, second by Ms. Board Member Sule. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. We move to item D14, litigation. Consideration of request for the approval of the recommendation from Gwen Shamlin, General Counsel, East Baton Rouge Parish School Board, in the matter of Brenda Moore versus East Baton Rouge Parish School Board, docket 24-04542, District 5, Office of Workmen's Compensation, State of Louisiana, and related matters. There are no comments from the R online. Any comments from the board? May I have a motion by Ms. Board Member Stewart? Do I have a second by Board Member Sule? Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, would you please conduct the vote?
Please vote. Motion carries.
Thank you. Superintendent Cole, the floor is yours.
Very quickly, I just want to take an opportunity to celebrate a few people today. for their hard work and dedication. First, the district leadership team for being here at 6 a.m. this morning to travel to 22 schools today. Thank you so much for your dedication. Sincerely appreciate it. It's been a very long day, and you hung in there with us. I want to celebrate Casey Gilbert, Amy Jones, and Terica Jameson, and the rest of those teams for realignment. You did it. We got it done. We started school today. Our facilities looked amazing. They were clean. The signage for the new facilities was new. So the team did a great job. And board, we're going to have a realignment celebration here at the school board office closer to Labor Day once we get deeper into school to recognize and celebrate all of those individuals who contributed and helped. I want to thank the dedicated staff at Let's Talk. The Let's Talk initiative, coach, is what we started with our AI response to all of our concerns. Between the beginning of the week, we fielded 1,500 high-volume calls on the first day of school, and we were able to, as a result of Let's Talk, respond to 976 conversations were successfully resolved, reflecting the team's communication and problem-solving efforts. So we were able to do that today, 1,500 calls, and resolve 976. Our families can also do a customer satisfaction QR code at every school site. If you visit any of our schools, there is a big board that says, how are we doing, treat people right. So we're excited about the feedback we're receiving. The initial response was a 3.4 on those surveys. Now that response is up to a 8 out of 10 in terms of how our employees are responding to issues. We still have a ways to go. There's still some challenges, but we are moving in the right direction in terms of listening to our community around how we are engaging. And then Dr. Smothers has done a fine job, her and her team in HR. They have been here every Friday, even though the school system has been closed on Friday. They have been here every Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to address the employment needs of this district and make sure we're getting people onboarded and ready to begin the school year. So thank you, Dr. Smothers. And to that end, today we have our district this size, and we're close to 6,000 employees, only 106 vacancies with only 71 teacher vacancies. So thank you so much for your efforts, and we sincerely appreciate you. I don't think it's any secret to any of you in here that we get anonymous letters all the time about things that are happening in our district, and I just want to read one to all of you that we received at central office. Dearest Rita, while the hallways buzz with the first day of school bliss, one cannot help but turn their admirations to the select few within the esteemed ranks of EBR schools. These distinguished individuals have not only risen to the occasion, but have done so with style that we cannot deny. They deserve a nod of approval. Whispers of new golden standard currency have begun to circulate. And for that, we have Ms. Lisa Smothers and Ms. Amy Jones Think. The spirited duo of human capital and digital delights has come together to spearhead the implementation of City Suites. From payroll to features not yet revealed, they prove that leadership is everything, and they have it down with ease. Mr. Kenny Hilliard and the name once infamous down the halls of McKinley High has taken the district's social media presence from static to viral. With more than few double-tap-worthy moments, his efforts have elevated EBR's digital presence to a new echelon. If likes were currency, the district would be rich indeed. And what, pray tell, would progress be without Ms. Terica Jameson and Casey Gilbert, our tireless orchestrators behind the great realignment? With the resolve of generals in battle, they have maneuvered complex issues and countless facility requests. While realignment is no simple task, these two have navigated with grace. So to the fine staff of EBR schools, may your accomplishment continue to shine, your positivity stay alight. The author shall be watching, pen poised, ever ready to celebrate those who dare to lead with heart, grace, and service until the next revelation. Know your work does not go unnoticed. Have a great year, always listening, the EBR eavesdropper. So I don't know who wrote that. I don't know where it came from, but I thought I would share with you. We don't always get anonymous letters that are negative. We get some that are extremely positive about the people who work in our district. So thank you all.
You sure that wasn't your mother that wrote that too?
No, no, but my wife texted me and said, you snapped at John McCann, you need to apologize. So, Mr. McCann, I apologize. Thank you.
My enthusiasm here had to be away talking about attendance.
Thank you. Board President Stewart.
I just want to take a point of privilege to acknowledge a message as it relates to realignment to one of the parents from Belfair reached out and sent a message and said, hey, that was the perfect decision to move Belfair to Winburn. We just left orientation, which is when I got the message. It is such a nice campus for the kids. You guys did an awesome job choosing to move and realign with the school. Thanks.
Thank you. And I'll take my point. I didn't visit 22 schools. I only visited one school today. I was at Highland Elementary. My wife and I were first-day helpers at Highland Elementary. And one of the main reasons I went there is because they had over 100 students transfer to Highland, mainly from Westminster, into Highland. So they had a large number of first-time students going to that class. And I just want to tell parents the work and dedication of the staff to process all of those new kids into there, get them in, feed them breakfast, get them into their classes, and do all those sorts of things. And importantly, and it really brought it home to me, the number of kids who came with parents who did not speak English. But there were interpreters there. And the only thing I would suggest is that at those schools, if you have any of your central office staff that are fluent in Spanish, they get sent to those schools with high Spanish populations, because that was the slowest part of the whole thing, was just having enough translators to be able to get the information from the parents, whether they're going to ride the bus or carpool, and all those sorts of things that go on with that. But I won't say it was completely smooth, but it was complete.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's the key thing. Kids were in their classrooms.
We received a certificate this week of excellence in financing. So congratulations to James Crochet and Kelly Lopez for your excellence in financing. Thank you very much.
And I got one other quick item. I've been asked some about where we stand with some of the salary stuff and looking at the salaries. The steering committee team has met and worked through some of the guidelines and things that they want. And right now, the project is in phase 1, which is data gathering, where they're combing all the records. I see Ms. Jones nodding her head, gathering up all of the data and things like that. And soon the working team will be taking that data and getting down to work with it. But progress is being made and the project is on schedule. So I know I've gotten some questions about that. The other thing is, hopefully in the next month, we'll bring to the board a list of school board properties where we'll be able to talk about what are some opportunities we have with the properties that we own that are not currently in use. I've been working with Build Baton Rouge and getting that put together. And so probably in September, we'll have Build Baton Rouge come in and give us a presentation.
And in addition to that, Bill Baton Rouge connected myself, Mr. Gilbert, and Pam Whitley with a gentleman we met with yesterday who has done this work across the country in terms of taking school system properties and converting them into whatever we choose to. So we're really excited about that work, and we're going to continue working with Bill Baton Rouge as well as with that gentleman we met. Yes, he was phenomenal. I forget his name. You remember his name, KC? No, I got the card on my desk, but we met for an hour and a half, and we're really excited about the path forward for our properties.
So great. So thank you. Now we'll move on to meeting dates. The regular meeting will be held on August 21st, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Central Office Boardroom. Committee of the Whole meeting will be held on September 4th, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the Central Office Boardroom. Board Member Lewis.
Can I share a real quick personal story?
Point of information, I would like to see my kids before they go to sleep tonight.
For another meeting.
Thank you.
We are dismissed. Go home. You ain't got to go home, but you got to leave here.